All right, we're starting early. I didn't want to wait. I wanted to show you this countdown. Hello, this is this countdown at the Delaware Senate. Just make this big. You might be wondering what is going on. So you can see we're at 3 minutes. This is go time. So this is the anti-MLM bill that's going to be discussed in the Delaware Senate. HB212. The reason why it's called the anti-MLM bill, it was because the Direct Selling Association, the DSA, has called it that. The Direct Selling Association. This is Big Pyramid. This is the trade organization that lobbies the government in the US. Your country probably has a DSA too. I know we have one here in Canada. And all these MLMs, they give them so much money. So you have all these people that are working at the DSA, and that their only job is to have meetings and to do photo ops with various, elected officials and say, oh, guys, can you not have any regulations? We'd still like to continue this fraud that's been going on since Amway managed to winkle their way through that 1979 disastrous judgment. And they're like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. So this bill was brought forward in the Delaware House by Representative Melanie Ross Levin. And the DSA, they tried to, oh, this is horrible. We had forceful and strong arguments, but it wasn't forceful and strong because it passed the House in a vote of 27-11. A whopping 27-11. But now it's in the Senate. Who knows what's going to happen? So what I want to just say is that regardless of whatever happens in this meeting, if, the DSA Big Pyramid is paid off all these senators and they're like, no, this would be a complete horrible thing to happen to our economy, especially in Delaware. All the nonsense that they say, it doesn't matter. Even if this bill dies, the damage is done. The DSA has named anti-MLM. More and more people are speaking out. And I'm not going to stop. And I know a lot of people watching this are just getting started too. So no matter what happens, this is quite a moment in history. That's what I think anyway. Lisa Cutler, Canada in the House. And I also want to just give a shout out to the very first comment. Here we go. Can we all just take a moment of appreciation for Terry Lynn, who managed to snipe in and be like, yes, first comment. Awesome. Can't wait. Welcome. Welcome, Benjamin, your tank top friend, Margot, Marie Bellwood, Susan, David G. Let's go, Lydia Law. The downfall is taking shape. Yes. Susan, someone's monster. And Emma, hi, Julie. Let's keep our hopes up for this to pass. I certainly hope it does. I believe that William Keep is going to be testifying during this. Let's just bring this up. So I don't know. I have a feeling this might be kind of, it could be boring. I don't know. I think nothing could possibly be as boring as Orville and Heidi, doing their Sensi end of month live. I think this will be way more interesting. And you can see on the agenda that it's about halfway through. Now, initially the agenda was kind of at the very end. Okay, look at, here we go. And please let me know if, you can't hear it, or, if something is awry, just let me know. So it looks like they're going to have the approval of minutes. Then they're going to have HB209, HB37, and then HS1 for HB162. I hope I'm on the right thing. It says not started yet. Shouldn't it start playing? I'm going to open up another tab. This is what my fear is too, is sometimes, let's look at it starting. I have to press play. It just says meeting beginning soon. Now, if you don't want to listen to my commentary, I've put the link below in the description so you can go and watch it. And I know it's an obnoxiously long link. I don't know how to shorten it. Navigating the Delaware website is it's a nightmare to me. It was, I don't even know how I ended up finding this link. Every time I would try to find out where the live recordings are or the archived meetings are, I would forget during that lengthy process what I did to actually get there. And I'd have to relearn it each time. So good luck. Have at her. It says meeting beginning soon. So I'm hoping that it says in progress. Can you imagine? Oh, I can make it big. It's not in progress. I don't see anything. Where are you? Okay, let's see. Melissa says, I've sat in state legislative hearings and they can be a little boring, but they can also be awesome. I think this is my first time watching this. I have been watching more House of Commons and committee meetings here in Canada. And I don't know whether it is, it's like you just get older and you're like, oh, this is really interesting. But I agree. Justin says, so I'm curious, MLM's not part of this group. Like I know of a friend in Park Lane. Are they still affected from this decision? All MLMs will be affected. Like now I'm worried that maybe I've got the wrong link, or I need to see, you can see the timer. Can you see that? I'll make it big again. If you know that I'm screwing up in some way, or this is actually streaming and I'm not able to see it, please let me know. So it says 12:02:30. It's just counting down. Maybe they just aren't as punctual as us MLM participants. We'd get yelled at if we didn't show up on time. What would we be told? Early is on time and on time is late. Who heard that? Emma says they're boring and I'm not surprised. It's starting a couple minutes late. Okay, that's good to know. I'll just drop this down while we're watching this, waiting for this. Let's hope this spurs Canada to get on board. Let's hope. I had a phone call with a member of parliament here in Alberta yesterday, and they were very interested about this bill. I forwarded them some information about the bill itself, and they might be introducing something like this one day. You never know. So this just goes to show that you can write your member of parliament. It doesn't even need to be your member of parliament. It can be a member of parliament, because they weren't my member of parliament. And then you can start a conversation, just like we did when we were in an MLM. You just never know what's going to get through. If you're thinking of contacting your elected official, whether here in Canada, in the US, do it. There's a lot of people who are anti-MLM. A lot of people have their own stories. Emma says with you, it's never boring. It freaks me out when I'm on time and then something else isn't starting. I think, am I doing something wrong? So I think, let me know if you kind of have a handle on what this HB212 is. I kind of glossed over that the DSA is really scared of this. It passed in a vote of 27-11, but I didn't really explain what it's about. So all it's doing is it's saying there's more requirements to protect consumers. And the thing is that multi-level marketing requires deception because it's fraud. So any additional scrutiny or protection, like you should disclose how many people in the state of Delaware are also selling for this multi-level marketing company, they just don't want any of this. They think this is just such a threat to how they exist. And they're right. They need to operate out of scrutiny. They can't be regulated at all. So where you're like, well, how do you regulate fraud? Well, you can really, tighten the screws to multi-level marketing by just putting forward a bill where all these disclosures, these requirements are completely reasonable. And if you were an actual legitimate business, you wouldn't have any problem being like, yeah, of course, I can't even believe this is in place. So that's kind of like what this bill is about. Now, something else I learned is if you look at where it says HS1 for HB162. So they make this bill, right? They write it up, and then there's going to be people that are like, well, you really should make some changes here. We don't like this, big pyramid lobby, muscles their way in. Dave Grimaldi. Marco called him groveling Grimaldi. He gets up there and he was like wiping the sweat from his brow in that video he made on Vimeo. Hi, everyone. I'm outside the Senate here in Delaware. Anyway, he takes somebody out for lunch. This is a hypothetical scenario. He's like, we really need for you to vote against this bill. This is just like a detriment to us. I don't even know where I was going with this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're just here to watch this thing get off the ground. If it does, we've moved up in schedule, though. We're going to be the third one on here. Oh yeah, so HS1. So they make changes. So say groveling Grimaldi takes somebody out for lunch, and they're like, we really need you to strike through this one requirement. It's just so completely unreasonable, And they're like, okay, we'll make an amendment. There's like the give and take, and so then what happens is then they strike through certain sentences in the bill and then they modify it and whatever. So then this is what I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then, so then it's this HS1 for HB162. Like we need more acronyms, right? Come on, let's get this party started, guys. God, I hope we can watch this live. My big fear is that this is streaming live and that I need to refresh it or something. And you know how I keep accessing this link is I had to copy the link and send it to in a message to myself on Facebook Messenger, if you can believe it. Oh no, it's the same thing when I've just pulled it up on this link. Oh my God, right? I'm aging out of relevance here. I just learned how to make stickers on my camera. Take a photo, and if you just pull the image with your finger, it just will make a little outline of a net. Like, say you take a picture of your cat and you can make a sticker of it. I just learned that a couple days ago. All right, let's see. I'll read your comments here as we're waiting for everyone to start here. I'm really excited to see William Keep testify. I believe he's testifying here. And I'll talk a little bit more about him. So Melissa J says, at least this one is earlier in the day, not towards the end when the legislators are falling asleep. We had that happen. Is that right? Can you imagine? Oh my goodness, all these elected officials. You shout out to all these elected officials too, or however, you put yourself in the public eye and under scrutiny, and you're trying to do what's right for your community, and their families are supporting them. Lolio Lucas Driss Gaming says, I love your commentary. Emma says, I work in theater, and the saying is on time is 7 minutes late. Politics is the same way to my understanding. Oh, okay. Hello, Marie. Creepy says, hey, this is a fun direction for the channel. You never know what's going to pop up, eh? It'll be like live reaction to a sporting event or something. MLM is just weird, Melissa says, nah, it probably means whatever they were hearing before this bill went overtime. Oh, okay. Oh, it's very likely they're behind. Government moves slow. Okay, good to know. Justin says, good, because she needs to get out and lives in Delaware. Hope this is a wake-up call. Oh, wow. I hope she gets out too. It's a matter of time. I do believe that. Launched says, I used to kind of watch them back in the day on TV when there was that whole channel showing the House of Commons. I remember my dad would watch that. And I would think, wow, this is like, you're old. This is what old people do. Now I'm doing it. I'm like, this is really interesting. That's a really good point. It's what happens. No, but now I'm watching it on YouTube instead of on that. I remember my dad would just be watching that. I'd just be like, God, it was like that and going car shopping. It would be the most boring thing that could ever happen to a person. I'm like, I don't want to go shopping for a vehicle. They'd be like, oh, it's time to get a new vehicle. I mean, I think we only ever bought like one new vehicle or maybe two, but it was such a traumatic experience. It was so boring. I just like, oh God, don't take me, that and watching politics on the TV was like, no, I still don't want to go buy cars, or I'm not interested in that, but I am interested in watching like CPAC and stuff like that. Heidi and Orville will be the guest speakers. Can you imagine? Somebody had said on one of my, I think it was my last Sense the End of Month, they called him Orville Corgan. The world is a vampire. Rams, welcome. This is your first live. Lydia says, doesn't look like it's on the agenda. What are you looking at there? What are you looking at there, Lydia? I see it right there. It says HS1 for HB162. What are you seeing that I'm not? Creepy says, I'm involved with a local NDP group in Ontario. They'd support something like this. Don't know if we could push Ford to adopt it, though. Well, it's worth reaching out to whatever, political affiliation, you're with, any kind of group, because MLM doesn't care who you are, what you believe in, who you vote for. They will infiltrate. They will, you know what they're like. So it's going to require a team effort, in order to just, how it's like when you're like affinity fraud. So there's a lot of people that are Christian that are targeted from
The Senate Banking, Business, Insurance, and
Technology. My God, it's so quiet.
Hereby called to order. I'm Senator Spiros Manzaninos, Chair of the committee, and today is June 25th, 2025. Chair of this committee, and in accordance with Senate rules, this committee is authorized to meet in hybrid format.
Sound.
Committee members and members of the public are able to participate either in person or virtually through Zoom. And I don't think we have any members participating through Zoom. Okay. The public may participate virtually by registering via the meeting link that is posted on the General Assembly's website. Instructions for providing public comment are posted on the General Assembly's website under this committee meeting's notice and will be provided during the public comment portion of the hearing. Those who wish to provide written comments may send their comments to Senate Banking Business Insurance, all one word, Senate Banking Business Insurance at Delaware.gov. Comments will be accepted for 24 hours after the meeting, and they will be directly distributed to members, just so everyone is clear on that. Members of the public are also welcome to attend the meeting in person and should sign the sign-in document for attendance and to indicate if they'd like to speak on the bill. Today, we'll begin by taking roll call attendance of the committee members present. Name is called, please affirm your attendance. Again, I noted that there was another meeting going on that several members are part of, so we're going to just try to keep things moving as best we can. So Senator Pardee is absent.
This is all I
Senator
got.
Brown
I don't know how to make it any louder.
Senator
Sorry, guys.
Ford is absent.
I'm going to mute
Senator
myself.
Siegfried is absent. Senator Walsh.
Present.
Senator Pettyjohn. Absent. And Senator Richardson.
Present.
And myself. We do not have a sufficient number of members present, but we still will move on to the legislation listed on the agenda. So as protocol, I will turn to committee members first for questions and then follow up by calling the additional senators present and then on to public comment. If you are participating virtually, please be sure that you are placed on mute. So the first bill on today's agenda is House Bill number 209 under my Senate sponsorship. And that's an act to amend Title 18 of the Delaware Code related to healthcare and patient protection and Affordable Care Act. This comes to us from the Department of Insurance, and basically this act updates a cross-reference to regulations under the Federal Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. I know we have. There we go. Sorry, I started by going left. We have Chris Haas from the Department of Insurance. If you want to, if there's any comments you want to make on this, or if there's anything, that would be another routine. We may need to keep you up here for a while.
Good afternoon, Chris Haas on behalf of Insurance Commissioner Trinidad Navarro in the Department of Insurance. We appreciate the opportunity to bring this bill forward with your support. It ensures that Delaware's codified references to federal protections are up to date. The General Assembly codified various Affordable Care Act provisions into the insurance code in 2018. They have changed at the federal level over time, and carriers have asked to update these references. This makes permanent various consumer-friendly changes to ACA rules that have occurred over the last 7 years, but does not change any coverage requirements, essential health benefits, or special enrollment period eligibility requirements.
Okay. Anything else that we should be aware of?
I emailed you the wrong committee letter, and you have the right one coming to you soon.
No worries. There's also another letter of support that's in members addressing it. Any questions from members of the committee? Senator Walsh?
Just basically, it's just changing the effective date, right? Yeah.
Okay. So is there a time? There is, I believe, some timing involved. So I mean, we do need to get this through before Monday, right? Okay. Just double checking. Senator Richardson, any questions or anything? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Oh, public comment. Thank you.
Okay, so Chris was the only one that had signed up. Was there anyone else in person? Seeing no one, for those attending virtually, if you'd like to provide public comment on House Bill 209, please use the raise hand function. Seeing no one, that concludes public comment.
She's on her way? Okay. So let's just hold on that because she has two, doesn't she? She has 37 and wait, that's not me. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we are awaiting Senator Lockman. Her bills are, will be next on the agenda. She's on her way. So I'm going to jump down to House Substitute. Actually, you know what, that's going to take a few minutes. House Substitute 1 for House Bill 212, which is under my sponsorship. Here. And that is an act to amend Title 18 of the Delaware Code relating to overpayment recovery and audit practices. And again, I'm going to call on, she stayed there, thank you. So she knows the routine. So why don't you, I'm going to defer to you if you could just talk to us about, again, what this piece of legislation does and why it,
Thank you, Chris Haas, on behalf of the Commissioner. This legislation, supported and produced by the department, serves to address health insurer and PBM audit activities that claw back monies paid to healthcare providers and pharmacies. We are proud to have the support of the Medical Society of Delaware, the Delaware Healthcare Association, Chair of the Delaware Healthcare Commission, Dr. Neil Hochstein, and other pharmacists and others we work together with to support those providing care for our community. It is one of the Commissioner's top priorities to address. The legislation shortens the time frame in which insurers may initiate activities to claw back dollars from healthcare providers from 24 to 12 months. Carriers' ability over multiple plan years to come knocking on providers' doors for money is and has been a burden on providers' budget and an uncertainty that adds to often already precarious financial conditions. No physician should have to close their doors, consolidate, or shift into concierge care because an insurer didn't properly calculate their payment and now wants money back. At least 16 states limit their overpayment recovery efforts to a timeline of 12 months or less, including 4 states in our region. Further, this tightening of timeline helps push insurers to use the data and technology at their fingertips to pay providers accurately the first time, instead of investing consumers' premium dollars in a business practice that is inefficient and ultimately harms their healthcare access and affordability. Additionally, we are addressing an issue of extrapolation, which is identifying a single overpayment and applying that across all similar billing codes to claw back substantially more dollars without direct evidence. This was something existing in our PBM statute that its absence in our insurer statute had caused an issue. And then for both insurers and PBMs, it tightens up language permitting extensions to the clawback period relating to fraud. Essentially what we see is entities will become uncompliant with the audit timelines of law and therefore say that they had, experienced fraud without making a report to our division or any direct evidence. Finally, for PBMs, the bill sets written notice requirements and also addresses underpayments, which are a bigger issue on the pharmacy side, to be identified in their audits.
And thank you, Ms. Haas. And this is a substitute just because it required a technical, correct?
Yes, there was a missing underline, but the substitute is otherwise the original.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure everyone is clear on that, that there's no difference between the original and the substitute. Okay, are there any questions from members of the committee at this point? All right, seeing none, we'll move to public comment.
Okay. We'll go to Dr. Anderson.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Richard Henderson, and I'm the chair of the Government Affairs Committee for the Medical Society of Delaware, which supports House Bill 212 with House Substitute 1. House Bill.
I'm just going to mute that right now, just for the moment, just to let you know that they're talking about this HB212. There's going to be HB37 or whatever, and then it's going to be ours. So we're just kind of watching.
Window over which the look back can occur. Facing concerns about workforce, mandates, reimbursement issues, House Bill 212 offers protections for physicians and practice finances in these challenging times. along with Senate Bill 12 on prior authorization, Senate Bill 122 on workforce data collection. House Bill 212 will become an important part of the continuing effort to improve healthcare in Delaware. The Medical Society thanks you for the efforts to do so and encourages the passage of House Bill 212.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's everyone who had signed up in person. Was there anyone else? Okay, going to virtual public comment. If you'd like to provide public comment for House Bill 212, please use the raise hand function. Up first, Kim Robbins. You should be able to unmute.
Thank you. I am Kim Robbins from the Delaware Pharmacists Society. I am in support, and the society is in support of 212. The Insurance Commissioner's Office's job is really in some of the PBM practices. However, this it needed to go further, and that is exactly what they're doing. I think you and the legislative body are fully aware of the pharmacy closures that we have been having since I've taken over as executive director of the society. 51 pharmacies have closed in Delaware, and as you know, 29 Rite Aids are about to close. That is 30% or 33% of the pharmacies in Delaware have closed since 18, and that is one of the reasons we need to curtail some of these unfair practices of the PBMs. The Delaware Pharmacists Society is in favor of 212. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. You're breaking up a little bit, so please make sure you send written comments to our email, Senate Banking Business Insurance @delaware.gov. We'll go to the next person, Pam Price. You should be able to unmute.
Thank you. Pam Price, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, and appreciate the opportunity to share Highmark's concerns with House Substitute 1 to House Bill 212. Highmark opposes the reduction of the overpayment recovery period from 24 months to 12. The current 24-month timeframe allows for a reasonable period to identify and address overpayments without unduly burdening the system. A 2-year overpayment recovery period is consistent with the practices of most other states, reflecting a widely accepted industry standard that balances efficient claims processing with fair recovery practices while safeguarding consumer healthcare dollars. This legislation also prohibits the use of extrapolation. That's another industry-wide practice in both the federal and Delaware Medicaid payer space to aid in the recovery of provider overpayments. If a prohibition on extrapolation is enacted into law, it would significantly limit recoveries, contribute to waste, and increase healthcare costs. If enacted, this legislation could result in more prepaid claims reviews and an increase in the volume of records requested from providers. This would be burdensome to both the provider and the payer. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this bill.
Okay, that's everyone who had raised their hand. That concludes public comment.
Thank you. We'll now go back to the agenda, order of the agenda to item number 2, which is House Bill 37, under the Senate sponsorship of Senator Lockman. Welcome. And an act to amend Title VI of the Delaware Code relating to public accommodation. Senator Lockman, defer to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your patience. Thanks to committee members for hearing me on this bill today. So House Bill 37 addresses some clarity in the Delaware Equal Accommodations Law, which currently prohibits discrimination in place of public accommodation on the basis of race, age, marital status, creed, religion, color, sex, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. What this bill does, it ensures that all government services, including those provided directly by government entities and those that are government funded or supervised, are also subject to the same non-discrimination requirements as private businesses by revising the definition or sort of reframing the definition of place of public accommodation. It's not a substantive change in the law as much as people understand it. What it does is it makes sure that it's very clear, as it is not currently, that
it's okay. You haven't missed anything.
Of entities, this act applies, or rather, that the title applies. I do have Debbie Gottschalk, who drafted here, to answer any questions more clearly as well. It also updates the definition of a person so that it can become more compatible with other definitions as they otherwise exist in the code. And that is what House Bill 37 does.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I got some clarification here. On line 14, the person that receives funding from the state to perform a public function, how far does that sort of extend? I'm just trying to figure, is that, certainly, there are a lot of nonprofits that receive either state contracts or state grant aid. I mean, is this sort of flow through to those entities?
I'm going to bring Debbie up to help make sure that I'm not overstating the case. But so Debbie Gottschalk.
Debbie Gottschalk from the Division of Legislative Services. Under current law, if a private nonprofit is receiving grant and aid funding to provide services to the public, they're already covered by existing law.
Okay.
So this doesn't change that substantively.
What about contracting?
This clarifies that that includes contracting. Because right now the current law says state agencies and state funded. Includes agencies that receive government funding. So under current law, it would apply to contracts.
Okay, does that, and this is just for clarity, I just want to make sure, because public function is a very broad type of phrase, and I just want to make sure, I understand. So whether it's any services that any state agency contracts for, whether it be a food service agency or all the way through to a construction contract, I mean, are we talking?
Well, construction contracts are already prohibited
Okay.
from discriminating on all these bases under Chapter 69 of Title 29.
Okay.
What this is really doing, because current law refers to government-funded agencies without defining what an agency means, and generally the term person is used throughout the Delaware Code when referring to an artificial entity. So this is really clarifying that we're talking about artificial entities.
Understand. I just, like I said, that phrase, that the public function, performing a public function is a very broad phrase. And just, again, for clarity purposes, to make sure I understand how far that extends. So.
Yeah. And to that point, I also wondered what public function meant, and I found it used in 5 other code sections without a definition. So I assume that that is a term that courts and the commission are comfortable interpreting because it's used without definition already in the code.
Interesting. Any other, Senator Walsh?
So I also see that it loops in hotels and motels as well, that are catering to the public as well.
That's
Is that correct?
that's current law.
Yeah.
Right.
So on line 17, the current on current 17, it says includes hotels and motels. It's got the strike through and underline just to make it a list.
So when we loop that in, is this for public access, or is this is all access, public and private,
I mean,
right?
my understanding, the law as it already exists,
The law-
already applies to private
Okay.
private businesses are considered, public accommodation in terms of the way that they need to treat potential customers. This is really about clarity on the government agency side, and it is not substantively changing the law. It's making sure that, I guess in case of challenge, that if it's in front of the courts, it's more clearly laid out that those places of public accommodation in the list, that we know that they are all equally subject to this.
If I may, so the state provides a wide variety of functions, and some of those functions, like state parks, are very similar to a traditional place of public accommodation, a restaurant, a hotel, a store. But then there are other services like foster care that aren't a place of public accommodation where they advertise their services and people voluntarily ask for help. But I don't think people understand current law allows anyone involved in the foster care services system to discriminate. And so the problem with how the current law is written is it says it can be read with all the prepositional phrases as we're only applying if the state agency is performing a public is advertising, or is it caters to or offer goods and services to the general public. So some things that the state does aren't offered to the general public, like so foster care was the best example I could think of. So that could be interpreted as being excluded from the equal accommodations law.
Right. So it's in line with the intent of the laws that currently exist, but trying to make sure it's extra clear, so that intent can't be misinterpreted.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, anyone else? No. Richardson.
Thank you. Sure. I got a few things. Now, the first thing is, what is there a problem that this new bill would solve? Are you aware of some circumstances that now currently exist that aren't covered by this bill that this bill now will cover?
Well, I mean, you gave the one example, and I think, I don't know if there was a specific incident that inspired Representative Morrison. Perhaps you do know that, but or if it was just something that we tripped upon in the code that needed cleanup.
This
Yeah,
is
I
live.
can't speak to what
This is live,
exactly
Sarah.
Representative Morrison.
Our
was
bill is
speaking to. It
next.
is a case that held
Let's
that
say
the
our
Department of Correction was not a place of public
HB212
accommodation
is
in
next.
terms of providing deaf interpreter services to an inmate, because they did not provide offer goods and services to the general public.
So how would that change that?
That would bring the Department of Correction under under the laws of state agency, and prohibit them from discriminating for any reasons that private businesses and entities are currently prohibited from discriminating. The department has said they don't have any concerns with this legislation. Yeah.
Someone wrote this to me. It says, "A bill is enacted into law. What sort of organizations might be newly subjected
Are you serious?
to the
Are you serious right now?
The list that they provided was private schools, homeless shelters, women's shelters.
If so, good luck.
Drug treatment centers, medical and mental health care providers, and senior service centers." According to
Okay, none of that would change. So, because if this only will impact government entities and government-funded entities, but if those, homeless shelters, any of the examples you listed are offering their services or goods to the general public, they're covered under current law. So, and there's a difference, it has come up about there's a difference between eligibility criteria and discrimination. So it's only, if eligibility is based upon bona fide criteria, eligibility criteria, that's not the same as discrimination. So, for example, a program can provide services to women with a mental health condition, specific services, but they can't discriminate against those women on the basis of race, religion, and any of the other protected classes.
Jason, are you speaking for multi-level marketing or against
it? Is not discriminating based on disability because they don't offer services for mental health treatment. That's not discrimination, that's eligibility criteria.
I have a letter here from Zoe Ministries, and says, "I'm ready to express my deep concern and respectful opposition to House Bill 37, which proposes to expand the definition of a place of public accommodation under Delaware's Equal Accommodations Law. As written, the bill could have unintended and serious consequences for trauma-informed, faith-based programs like ours." Let's read just a little bit more. "I serve as the Director of Strategy and
You never know. You just never know, though.
which operates Hannah's House, Delaware's first and only therapeutic residential facility dedicated solely to female minors ages 12 through 17. from my understanding, who are survivors of domestic sex trafficking. They exist to provide safety, healing, and restoration to some of the most vulnerable children in our nation, girls who have experienced the most extreme forms of trauma, most often at the hands of men. Because of the specific nature of their trauma, we only accept biological girls into our program. For the safety and comfort of our residents, we only hire biological women to provide direct care. So will House Bill 37 change that? Will they now be required to have someone that identifies as a woman enter into the program or be in violation of this?
So this does not change current law as applies to that program. They are currently covered under lines 9 and 10 of the law as a place of public accommodation, offering goods and services. It sounds like they are.
I'm just saying,
and
there's a
whether or
reason why
not,
I asked that question.
How specifically the protections based on gender identity apply would be decided by either the Delaware Human and Civil Rights Commission if a complaint was filed, or by a court subject to that complaint. But this does not change what current law requires. The only thing House Bill 37 is doing is making sure that all state and all government entities have to follow the same rules as private organizations as far as non-discrimination. It doesn't change what those rules are.
The gender identity laws, require giving access to private spaces based on claimed gender identity rather than biological sex. Letting boys who identify as girls participate in girls' sports. Using an accurate.
Is this part of the, you're making that connection to the bill, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make sure.
Participating in so-called sexual assignment procedures, including puberty blockers. So does this make it easy? I still don't understand what the purpose of this bill is. If you're saying that everything's already covered, why do we need this?
The current, it's really a grammatical issue with the sentence as it's currently written in code. There's potential to misinterpret the way that sentence is written. And so really all this does is it makes it into a list instead of being a grammatically confusing sentence where someone might make the case for not interpreting it with the full broadness that it was written to achieve. So it really just restructures that sentence when it comes to the definition of public accommodation.
The person that wrote this sent me a list of the ones, the organizations that would newly be subject to this EAL. Can you provide the list of what new organizations will be?
There are no new organizations.
There are none.
No. I mean,
Except maybe the Department of Corrections
Right.
because of that lawsuit.
Right.
That's the only organization that I can clearly say would now be subject to current law that a court has held, because the court held that it wasn't subject to current law, that clearly will be held. But it only makes a change for government entities. It doesn't change any of the existing rules for private entities.
So the Department of Corrections lawsuit, what did that involve?
It involved a deaf inmate and who said he wasn't receiving adequate interpretation services.
That's all.
Mhm. Yeah.
Have anything to do with someone in the male population identifying?
No.
Okay.
no, Representative Morrison has been doing a lot in the deaf and hard of hearing space. So that makes a lot of sense. That was part of the package.
But just, I want to make sure I'm also clear too, and maybe just building on what Senator Richardson asked. The definition of a person was not defined. That's the sentence you were just referring to that provides clarity.
It was not. I was referring to the sentence where it seemed like it was only talking about, the agency and that. So
111.
correct. So what it also does is it creates a definition of person, which you see there up at the top. And which was not previously there. And that is really just to align it with what's otherwise existing in code, correct?
Right. So that's the standard definition of person that's used throughout the code.
Correct, and in looking at examples for other types of artificial entities, I actually looked at Title 18's definition of person and picked up some of those types of artificial entities, but those are already covered under current law if they're offering goods and services to the general public. But the basic definition is under Title I of the code and applies to everything in the code.
And again, this now applies to counties and municipalities.
To the extent it could have been interpreted as not applying to them, but
Okay.
they are, to the extent that they were offering goods and services to the general public and performing a public function, the law already applies.
Yeah,
Right,
it's already
right.
supposed to.
Just for clarity.
Mhm.
Oh, like Richardson.
Thank you. You mentioned definition of person in the code. Is there a definition of person in the Constitution?
I don't believe the Constitution has a definition section. I'd have to check. I don't remember one offhand, but I can go back and check.
There wouldn't be a definition section, but there'd be some kind of amendment or something that would perhaps address that issue, like the 14th Amendment addresses person. But that's okay. It's not necessary for the discussion right now.
We're
I
not
was just
doing
curious
that.
if you knew off the top of your head. Thank you.
No,
Thank you for that.
the definition under Section 302 is what establishes a person means both an individual and artificial entities, which is consistent with the U.S. Supreme Court case in Citizens United. That's all.
Great. Any other questions from members of the committee? Okay, thank you.
This could be it. We could be up next.
I'm getting to that. Hold on a second. So we do have Senator Siegfried and Senator Brown here. So we do not have meeting minutes, but at this point, but we will hopefully get those addressed in the near future.
Let's
So
go.
let's thank you. So let's move on to public comment now.
Oh, no.
Up first, Marty Rendon.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I'm Marty Rendon. I'm the chair of the Legislative Committee of the Delaware Human and Civil Rights Commission. On behalf of the commission, I appreciate this opportunity to testify in support of
We're up
37.
next.
Our commission conducts hearings under the Delaware Equal Accommodations Law. We have studied this legislation and believe it helps to clarify the law. The bill defines the word person to include all types of business entities as well as state and local governments and agencies. Our commission has been following this understanding, and HB 37 will eliminate any misunderstanding in the application of the law against discrimination in places of public accommodation. The bill further ensures that all government services, including those provided directly by government entities and those that are government funded or supervised, are subject to the same non-discrimination requirements as private businesses by revising the definition of place of public accommodation. The commission welcomes these clarifications, which track the commission's interpretation of the law. We commend the House for passing this bill, and we encourage this committee to bring it before the Senate for consideration. We look forward to its enactment and implementation. Thank you.
Okay, up next, Nandi Randolph.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Nandi Randolph, Policy Analyst for Delaware Family Policy Council. We stand in opposition to HB 37. At first glance, HB 37 appears to be a simple update to our non-discrimination law, but in reality, it redefines public accommodation so broadly that it pulls in a range of private organizations, including religious nonprofits, faith-based schools, shelters, and other ministries simply because they receive state funding or perform a so-called public function. These organizations don't exist to make a profit or serve the general public like a retail business. They serve from a place of deep conviction and faith. But under HB 37, they would now be held to the same non-discrimination standards as government agencies without any protections for their religious mission. In practice, that means a homeless shelter that separates rooms by biological sex out of religious belief could be sued for discrimination. The language in this bill is both vague and broad, particularly the area that mentions public functions. That ambiguity leaves the door open for government overreach and litigation against good faith organizations that serve our most vulnerable neighbors with integrity, compassion, and faith. HB 37 elevates newly created legal categories above longstanding constitutional rights, and in doing so, it puts religious institutions in a heartbreaking position. Violate your beliefs or stop serving altogether. I urge you to please not pass this bill quietly. The cost to religious liberty is too high. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Greg Baylor.
This is from Dave Vaughn, just mentioning if you wanted to send an email, a public comment within 24 hours of this hearing. So you might want to take screenshots of this if you wanted to do this. Thank you, Dave.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Gregory S. Baylor, and I serve as senior counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom. I'm here to offer a legal analysis of certain aspects of HB 37. I'm going to depart from my prepared remarks and try to clarify some of the apparent confusion or misunderstanding about what this law would do. Current law does forbid discrimination in places of public accommodation. The basic definition of a place of public accommodation is an entity that provides goods and services to the general public, right? Not just a specific group, but to the general public at large. It also defines state and local agencies, which are clearly the government, as places of public accommodation. What this law would do is that this proposal would do, it would expand the definition of place of public accommodation to reach things that aren't already covered. Whether an entity actually provides goods and services to the public at large is not so easy question to answer. It's not defined in the statute, and there's hardly any case law at all. Let me give an example of how hard this is to do. Up in Anchorage, Alaska, there was a women's shelter. The agency sued it, the Human Rights Agency in Anchorage sued it, saying that they were a public accommodation, they were committing gender identity discrimination by only allowing women to take advantage of their services. A court subsequently held that they're not a place of public accommodation. And you see sort of this inconsistency throughout the law in the state. So I don't think you can say with confidence that all of these entities that you were mentioning are already places of public accommodation. And thus, this is not a change. I think it is a change. The addition to the definition of place of public accommodation requires just a couple things: the receipt of money and performing a public function. You don't need to be providing goods and services to the public at large. It's just the receipt of money and a quote, a public function. And as already been said, public function is extremely broad. There are 5 instances in the Code of Delaware, and they're just all over the place. And it's anything you can imagine almost. The second way is you perform a public function and you're subject to the control or supervision of the state. That's not defined. What if you're just regulated by the state or a local agency? Is that enough? So I would submit that this does make a change and it creates religious liberty problems. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to make a note. Again, we do have a lot of items on the agenda today, so we're going to ask everybody to keep their comments to 2 minutes. And if you do have any further comments, again, we have this 24 hours with the email bankingbusinessinsurance@delaware.gov to submit those, and that was sent directly to members of the committee. So I just want to make that public service announcement for everyone. Thank you, sir.
All right, that's everyone who had signed up. Is there anyone else in person? Okay, going to virtual public comment. If you'd like to speak on House Bill 37, please use the raise hand function. Hannah Sessner, you should be able to unmute. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Hannah Sessner, and I serve as the director of strategy.
So you could probably log in and try to raise your hand and comment on this as well. Is that right? For our bill?
So for FY26, we did not apply for grant and aid funding, though we have in previous years. We're currently evaluating a grant opportunity recently released through the CJC, but if legislation were to mandate policies that jeopardize the trauma-informed care that we provide, it would not be in the best interest of our organization or the girls that we serve to pursue it. Under HB 37's proposed expansion, organizations like ours could be newly categorized as places of public accommodation merely because we receive limited state funding or perform public functions in collaboration with state agencies. The bill's lack of clarity on what constitutes a public function or control of and supervision creates significant legal uncertainty. Faith-based residential programs, homeless shelters, and programs like Sunday Breakfast Mission and therapeutic homes like ours called Hannah's House could be placed in legal jeopardy simply for following mission-driven policies that center on the safety and well-being of traumatized children. It risks forcing deeply personal and critical care decisions to become legal battlegrounds. If enacted, this law could unintentionally jeopardize the ability of organizations like ours to continue to provide trauma-informed care to sexually exploited youth in a manner that protects their dignity and psychological safety. For these reasons, I urge you to oppose HB 37 in its current form, or at least to exclude explicit exemptions or clarifying language that protect the essential work of programs like ours.
Thank you, Hannah. And that's everyone who raised their hand. That concludes public comment.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, Senate Bill number 185, again, under the sponsorship of Senator Lockman. So I will again defer to Senator Lockman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Again, this one has a little bit of different energy. The Senate bill.
We need to welcome our commissioner here as well.
Oh, hello. I didn't even see you there. Thank you for being here. So basically, this bill came from conversations with a constituent small business in downtown Wilmington, the Farmer and the Cow. They participate in a practice that apparently has become very widespread, in which they work with like a licensed importer, I guess. So like they might go off-site, say go to Kentucky to a whiskey bourbon producer and purchase a barrel of totally unique whiskey, and they will then serve that on premise at their restaurant. And this is something that other restaurants do, and it's apparently become something of a tourist feature. People will travel a distance to try these different, very unique imported barrels. Hopefully I'm framing that correctly. And what they would like to do is to be able to do more than just selling it glass by glass, but to bottle it with their unique brand and sell that to customers. So I did work with the commission to discuss how that might potentially work. And so what we did here was to put it in the to-go provision that came about a couple of years ago to make sure that we were not, violating that three-tiered system, so that it becomes part of that to-go practice. So with purchase of food, as we're familiar with how that works, one bottle of that private label could be purchased as part of that and be taken away as a to-go item. That's basically what it does. There's also a fun correction in here as well, and Jonathan Harding, who drafted it, is here to speak to that. And we also have our Commissioner Mehta here if there are any specific questions about how this was framed.
Thank you. My first question is, what's the definition of private label?
What is, I'm gonna have to, oh, Jonathan Harding is here to.
Come on down.
You want another definition, Bill?
I'm sorry. I learned Wilson in the background.
So, Senator, my understanding of private label, and the reason I use that term is to try to designate the specificity and uniqueness of it. It was in working with the people from Farm and the Cow, and I'd probably have to defer to them and probably get back to you. But the idea behind the language is to differentiate it from more common spirits that you typically see in a retail establishment, like maybe a Jim Beam or something of those nature. And that's why there's even more language included with it. So the idea, I guess, of private label is this going to a different distillery in maybe Kentucky, Minnesota, wherever they're producing these special private, not typical wholesale, what I consider to be like this, your typical spirits that you can find at your local liquor stores or, like your Total Wines and things of that nature. I don't believe so. So private label isn't necessarily defined, but the language is included there. I think in large part using some of the language that is in the, now I'll try to get the reference. The Delaware Beverage Guide. So I guess if you're trying to be, and maybe some of the people behind me can speak a little bit more to this, but limited availability and limited allocation is speaking to this idea that it's rare and not something that you can immediately find if you go to your local liquor store. Again, I think it's piggybacking off the idea that you have this restaurant that has this relationship or makes this relationship with an out-of-state distillery in this particular case, because we're dealing with spirits. and then brings this type of liquor to be consumed on premises and then also to be sold. I don't know if I answered your question as well as you wanted, but that is the purpose and the language that I use to try to differentiate this and to make it clear that it's not simply just something that you can find in your local store.
Okay. Thank you. I guess maybe can commit. I mean, does the commission want to offer anything to that? I mean, on that explanation.
Any insight?
Good afternoon, Jackie Meta, Alcoholic Beverage Control Commissioner for the state of Delaware. The challenge you have with that term is it isn't defined in Title IV. It is a term that's used commonly to refer to these products. It's typically used in the context of bourbons. Now the bill's not limited to bourbons, it's spirits. Spirits is a defined term. Spirits includes tequila, vodka, gin, anything that's generally not wine or beer that has a certain alcohol content. So it is a generalized term. It's something that if we find that there are some issues with it, we can work on drafting a regulation to add maybe some guardrails or clarity, and that might be helpful.
Okay. So this does not apply to beer or
Correct.
wine.
No, and Senator, I believe beer's already there.
Yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
roughly a 6-pack.
Okay. Thank you. There it was. Right after that. Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I think what we found is this was kind of like a gap in that provision, was that it just didn't speak to spirits, it spoke to everything else.
Thank you. My last question is, where is our samples?
That is an off-session question, Senator. I will meet you in downtown Wilmington.
I understand, Senator, but I mean, here we are last week of June, and anyway, defer. Okay, Senator Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to clarify that the private label spirit that we're talking about here, it's landed. We've received the landing tax. It's pushed out through the distributor or not?
Yes.
So it's landed at a distributor. It's pushed out through the distributor to the retail.
Correct. How it typically happens is you'll have a retailer who goes to a bourbon distillery, Kentucky. They add an ingredient to a product. They create their own barrel. It's aged. That distiller will then bottle that product and then ship those products. Distributors don't typically want to have the barrel come because then they have a barrel they have to dispose of. It does happen though, that sometimes it's the barrel and the bottles, and then that becomes a whole other issue. But it does come through the 3-tier system.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll now move to public comment.
Okay, was there anyone present who wanted to speak on the bill? There wasn't anyone who signed up. Going to virtual public comment. If you'd like to speak on Senate Bill 185, please use the raise hand function. Matthew Collins, you should be able to unmute. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Matthew Collins. I'm actually one of the owners of the farmer and the cow that helped do this bill. We think it's been great for not only us, but a lot of people in the hospitality industry. It gives the opportunity to purchase this large quantity of private selective barrel that we handpick. We bottle, it's branded with our name, and being a large bourbon selection, we're over 12 to 1,400 different bottles. We get tourists, we get people from all over the state, and they can drink it at the facility, at our restaurants. But we're pouring it in 1 to 2 ounce pours, cocktails. It takes us a long time to go through this, which cuts down on doing more of these, which we think is great for, us being able to sell more, the distributors being able to sell more, and then these guests get to take home, a souvenir or something they can't buy at your local liquor store. It'd be completely unique. So we're not stepping on feet of any of the liquor stores or anything like that. It's a very unique thing to us, and we think it'd be a great opportunity. That's why we support the bill.
Thank you, Matthew, and that's everyone who raised their hand. Includes public comment.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Lockman.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll now move on to the next item on the agenda, House Substitute 1 for House Bill 128 under my sponsorship. An act to amend
Surprise, not
Title 19 of the
yet.
Delaware Code relating to the Family and Medical Leave
Probably
Insurance
going to be
Program.
last.
This bill represents a negotiated compromise between the insurance industry, Department of Labor, and other stakeholders that would enact clarifying and technical updates to conform Delaware's paid leave law, particularly as it relates to private plans, and to all of the other jurisdictions administering paid leave. Some of the highlights of this: it permits an employer with an approved self-insured plan to collect contributions from employees beginning on the effective date of the legislation.
How about I just
Clarifies
comment a little bit here?
benefits that would be the primary pay.
Let me know. I just muted this just to, it's not happening yet. I thought it was going to be like the next one, but I think that it actually might be the last one. So I thought I'd just take a little break here. We can go right back. Let me know if you're like, no, Julie, this is actually pretty interesting. I'm enjoying the chat and learning about this. I'm totally fine with just, with doing that. I thought if you are getting kind of bored and want to talk, we could just take a pause and then we could do that right now. But it's totally fine if you don't want that. I'm just opening up another tab just to see. Yeah, I think it might be the last one on here. So yeah, let me know you guys. And I'll just read a couple of your comments. We'll just keep it playing here. Sadly, Creepy says, sadly, they won't care what an Ontarian would have to say. So no straight stage fright here, but you've got a lot of support. You've got this. And Robin, the ADR Pro, says there are lots of YouTubers who cover court proceedings, and that is educational. I'm so glad Julie is doing this because we need transparency on how laws are created in the state legislature. And I think it's helpful for us Canadians too, because so many of us I haven't. That's what I'm speaking for myself. And I'm pretty confident in saying a lot of people don't have a clue what's going on. You know, I just never really cared and I never really was interested, but now I am. And I don't want to feel like, well, you're just so stupid. You should have taken civics in grade 5. Everybody knows this. Well, I don't remember. And I want to learn, you know? So I think that having like a community of people where you're like, oh, we're all learning together and you know what something like an issue that's important to you is, and you can kind of see how it plays out. I think it's helpful, you know? I'll just be like this. Susan says, wake me up when it's our turn. Probably it's last because it has more speakers signed up. Maybe that's right. In it for the long haul either way. David asks an important question. When are Orville and Heidi coming in with their intermission? I hear they'll be doing a rendition of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star with a Moisture medley solo. Lady Meter Saw has exited, just like, I gotta just wait. Email for the committee. I think that is what I think I already sent that. Did you see that, CE? I put it up as a banner. Here we go. I think this is the one. I could be wrong. Here's Senate Banking Business Insurance at Delaware.gov. I believe maybe that's the website. I'm not sure. Maybe you need to go onto the website. I don't know. If anybody knows, please feel free to put it in the chat for CE. Ariel says, learning is power, Julie. Yes, we all got to learn. We're learning together. You know, we all help each other. So many of us just don't know, you know, nobody knows everything. A lot of people didn't know about multi-level marketing. And I wish that I had have come across anti-MLM content. And I think it's the same kind of thing with this stuff, you know. If you can't, I think mocking someone for not knowing something is just kind of lazy, I think, because you can always learn, you know. Global says, hopefully we are next, or they delayed the whole thing for the reason. Robin says, watching Schoolhouse Rock on how a bill becomes a law doesn't tell the whole story. It can only help to learn how the system works both in the US and Canada. Yeah, I want to have like a little bit more, just like a bit more detail without it being so boring. Like I want it to be able where I can actually understand things, you know. Lisa's like, hurry up. I know, I feel the same way. Creepy says, I hope this is the age where we all get more interested in politics because we collectively realize that not paying attention has screwed us. I agree. I agree 100%. And I think it's so important to have a variety of perspectives because wherever you live, whatever you experience is going to have this whole other bunch of information that other people just don't have a clue about. So for example, you know, multi-level marketing. A lot of people don't know. They'd be like, well, if you didn't know about it, you'd think it's a legitimate way to make money. And then you would think it's unreasonable that people want this, they call it fraud and they want to ban it. And then there's, you know, regional interests and stuff like that. So I agree, you know, we need to get informed and then, you know, get active, write a letter, volunteer to committee, start showing up and, you know, just you start learning from other people as well, what's important to them. it gets us out of our little bubbles, I think, David says they teach civics in American public schools after you complete an obstacle course, complete with crocodile pits and laser sharks. Yeah. And someone's monster says, I must admit, I don't have the patience for politics, but I love to know how to help when there is an issue I'm passionate about. Yeah, like that's I'm kind of similar. I'm getting more interested. I really like to hear, I want answers to questions. I want to know how we can make things change. And then sometimes it's interesting as you see various committee meetings and investigations and questioning and yeah, but I know a lot of it can just be really boring too. I'm going to put it back up on here. I'll mute myself and turn the volume back on here, see what they're talking about. I've been keeping an eye on the CC there.
Over 19 years. The average surviving spouse in the Wilmington Police and Fire Pension Plan receives just $10,080 annually, far below the poverty line. In the 55 years since this pension plan was enacted, there have only been a handful of cost of living increases awarded by the city. These retirees haven't seen a cost of living increase in nearly 2 decades. 2006 was the last time they got a raise. This stipend is modest but crucial to support and assist us in helping pay our everyday bills. And I just wanted to thank the committee for allowing me to express my support and our members' support for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's everyone that's signed up in person. Was there anyone else? The virtual public comment. If you'd like to speak on this bill, please use the raise hand function. Michael Lawson, you should be able to unmute. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. I want to thank Chairman Mansavinos and the committee for allowing us to hear this legislation. As Mr. Turner said, this is 6 years ago when McDowell introduced it. It was passed through the House and through this bill was established due to the efforts that our retirees from both the fire and police have been trying for to get so we've had to refer to the state to help us with our retirees as far as the funds that they actually receive. This will help additional retirees since it's 5,000. This is a biennial stipend. This is not every year. Yeah. This is biennial, so I think that's well.
Mr. Lawson, you're cutting out a little bit, but you can submit your comments to the email, Senate Banking Business Insurance at delaware.gov. Okay, up next, John Cawthorey. Should be able to unmute. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you for your time. I'm John Cawthorey, the president of Wilmington Firefighter Local 1590. Just think it's important that House Bill 192 is passed. Like Mr. Lawson has said, I've sat on a couple of the committees where we vote to get these retirees a COLA raise through the city of Wilmington, and every year it seems to be turned down. So I just think it's important that these retirees are finally able to get some much due economic relief. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Up next, Paul Merrill. You should be able to unmute.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. As I said, my name is Paul Merrill. I'm here representing the Wilmington retired firefighters. I'm a retired lieutenant that served 31 years with the Wilmington Fire Department. Currently, I sit on the pension board as the pension manager, overseeing the accounts of 255 retired Wilmington firefighters and spouses. I served in this position for the last 15 years. I'm here to ask you for your support of HB 192. I often speak to our retirees and widows and witness the financial struggles they go through daily. Raising the income cap from $35,000 to $55,000 would bring relief to additional 52 retired firefighters and/or spouses. The special fund was created to support public safety retirees who served under the outdated pension systems that we have. The current cap is outdated and doesn't account for the rising costs of housing, healthcare, and basic needs. Raising the cap ensures continuous support for those who are in true financial hardship. Our retirees have not had a cost of living increase in nearly 2 decades. This bill would have a direct impact on those struggling, especially our surviving spouses. These men and women have spent a lifetime serving and protecting our community. We are asking you to help protect them in support of House Bill 192. Thank you for your time and consideration today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. We're gonna go back to Michael Lawson.
Just to make sure.
Try it one more time. Mr. Lawson, if you wanted to try to unmute and give your comments again.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. I'm actually out of the country. So this is very important. This is not a new bill or new legislation. This is simply raising the cost as far as the limit from $35,000 to $55,000. This was first introduced 6 years ago by Senator Harris McDowell, and it had full bipartisan support and was eventually signed by Governor Carney. We're asking that you support this legislation as well. This is a biennial stipend. This is not annual, so this is biennial. Our retirees deserve what they're not getting from elsewhere. They have not had an increase since 2006 as far as the cost of living, and we do have many that do struggle throughout the years.
It hasn't started yet.
You do support this.
It's going to be at the end of the agenda.
Bipartisan commitment on supporting this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. And that is everyone who has raised their hand. That concludes public comment.
Great, thank you. And Representative Smith, if you can just make sure that we get added as co-sponsors.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to add my name to the bill.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Okay, move on to the last item on the agenda. House Substitute 1 for House Bill 162. We have under the sponsorship of Senator
Here we
Hansen.
go. Let's go.
Hopefully timing's worked out.
It did. Crazy day. Downstairs in my own committee meeting.
So we want to welcome Representative Melanie Ross Levin to the chamber here. If you want to, go ahead.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 162 pertains to multi-level distribution companies, also called MLMs. MLMs are direct selling or network marketing companies. They create revenue by using non-salaried independent distributors to sell products or services directly to customers. Common MLMs that you've probably heard of are Herbalife, Amway, Arbonne, LuLaRoe, Mary Kay, Pampered Chef, etc. If you want to be an independent distributor of an MLM, you generally pay a membership or recruitment fee, and you purchase the inventory with your own funds. MLMs often advertise themselves to potential distributors as a way to earn extra money. Work for yourself. Unfortunately, most distributors do not realize substantial earnings, and many end up with thousands of dollars of unsold inventory in their homes. That actually happens to my husband's first wife. My husband was a widower when we got married, and his first wife used to sell Arbonne. And she did that for a few years until they never made any money doing it. And then they ended up writing it off as a business loss for 2 years in a row before they decided they're not going to do this. So it can be a tough business. The FTC recently reviewed 70 MLMs and found that the vast majority of distributors earned less than $1,000 a year, which is about $84 a month on average. And that was not taking into account what you had to buy as far as buying the inventory. House Bill 162 provides several important consumer protections for people considering joining MLMs, including basic disclosure requirements, the ability to cancel a contract within 3 months, and sell back any inventory within 12 months. This bill creates a new chapter in the code for MLMs. It adds a definition of multi-level distribution company and multi-level marketing program. It requires multi-level distribution companies to provide prospective participants with a written disclosure before signing a contract. The disclosure must be updated quarterly, be written in clear and conspicuous language, and contain the following. It should say disclosure required by Delaware law, and a disclaimer that the prospective signer has 3 months to cancel their contract after signing. The name of the seller or any parent company that will engage in transactions or accept responsibility for the program, that's also required. A statement of the initial payment required to join the program, as well as any inventory purchase requirements. A complete description of the compensation plan, including any inventory purchase requirements. A full and detailed description of the services the seller will provide to the participant. If the seller makes a claim about earnings or a range of earnings, it must also include a disclaimer of no guarantee of earnings or range of earnings can be made. A full and detailed description of any trainings promised by the seller. If the seller promises to place equipment or product in a store or other location for sale, the seller must disclose the details of this arrangement. If the seller advertises any sort of buyback arrangement or states that the initial payment is protected or secured, the seller must disclose the entire and precise nature of the arrangement. It must disclose how many other participants are active in the state, the percentage of participants who earn more than their initial buy-in, and all inventory purchase requirements, and the median and typical earnings of all participants in the program. Upon canceling the contract, the company is required to repurchase the unsold goods that are in resaleable condition for at least 90% of the original price paid by the participant and in the original form of payment. This provision is modeled after Maryland's current law, but the industry standard is typically allows for 90% buyback within 12 months. This is 90%. See, a person who suffers damage or injury as a result of a violation of the section has an action to recover 3 times the amount of actual damages, court costs, and reasonable attorney's fees. The sponsor who is here, Representative Melanie Ross-Levin, worked on the bill with the Department of Justice Consumer Protection Unit and the Consumer Federation of America, and has made significant revisions at the request of the Direct Selling Association. There's a large organization called the Direct Selling Organization, which a number of MLMs belong to, but the vast majority of MLMs do not belong to the Direct Selling Association, and so they're unregulated, which is why we're hoping to put some guardrails with these. And that is the bill.
Great. Thank you, Senator Hanson. Representative Lynn, do you have anything that you would like to add as sponsor of the bill?
Just that, just a couple of quick points. One, the bill we've also worked with Classy, who is here today. We have also, in terms of making the changes, we've made significant changes to the bill based on the Direct Selling Association's requests. And the other thing I wanted to flag is that this came from constituents. I received several messages from constituents who were stuck with $10,000 worth of inventory in their garage that they couldn't sell. And it was financially devastating to them. And so that's where this comes from. It just comes from the need to protect vulnerable folks that, if they get in this business and they do great, that's wonderful. This won't stop that, but it sets up some guardrails to protect vulnerable folks from being targeted by these companies. And I'm happy, if you want me to go through all the changes I made, I'm happy to do that. But we did make significant changes to the bill to accommodate the association.
If you want to just give a quick highlight of that, and I guess I do have a question. Is multi-level marketing and direct selling interchangeable? Direct seller, I just from a terminology, because this is my week, that's my committee hearing to deal with definitions and wording.
I think we'd have to call on Professor Keep, who's online, to answer that question.
Okay, well, we'll just wait a moment if there's any, if you do want to highlight a couple Senator Hanson.
Yeah, I do want to just mention one other thing, because I neglected to mention when I spoke. There are letters of support for the legislation. I don't know if you have it in your packet. They come from the Military Officers Association of America, the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, and the Delaware Veterans Incorporated. Apparently, spouses of veterans in the military, this is a very frequent issue with them.
Yeah, so they approached me to support the bill, and we have one of our commissioners here today to speak. They approached me to support the bill based on what they see on military bases and the targeting of military spouses.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to, I mean, if you do have somebody that can answer my question regarding terminology between direct seller and multi-level distribution.
Yeah, it's the same. It's basically the same.
So you said you had a witness?
Yeah, we have Professor Keep online, Bill Keep.
If you could just, and again, just answer the question.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't know if there's any testimony.
So he's rejoining as a panelist.
If not, we have someone else in the room.
Okay.
Mr. Keep, you should be able to unmute.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. I can answer that question. Direct selling and multi-level marketing have become interchangeable terms.
Okay.
There is no rule or law that says a company who is doing direct selling must be structured in a multi-level marketing way. But over multiple decades, from say the late 60s into the 90s and early 2000s, firms that were called direct selling firms increasingly took on the multi-level marketing structure. So it is by far the dominant structure under that label called direct selling.
Thank you. That's just why I just wanted some clarity on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
do
like
you have
to-
questions of the witness?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, so my question, can you hear me? Hopefully you can. So in this bill, there are so many guardrails, as the representative said. I mean, why haven't they been kind of self-regulated before?
The witness or the sponsors?
For the witness.
I believe the industry would claim that they are regulated. I believe they would claim that they have been doing a good job monitoring what happens in their industry. They have faced multiple attempts at regulation, and they've been successful at defeating efforts to make the industry more responsive and more transparent.
Okay, I'd like my name added to the bill as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Keep. Questions to the Senator Walsh.
I'm just trying to wrap my hands around this. So there's probably some good actors in this as well, right? So this is a contract that somebody signs. Right. So we're updating that contract is what we're doing here. Like they understand when they get into this what the business is about.
No, they don't.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
that's kind
of it could pan out, it could not pan out. Right? And sales can be up, sales can be down. I get all that. So this is this going to affect any way of the good actors? In other words, there's several testimonies in here in opposition to this bill as well. As far as limiting their opportunities now by this legislation.
Who's this guy?
Have you heard that?
Who's this guy?
I'm sure that the sponsor has heard that. Yes.
And if so, how does that hurt the good actors, if at all?
So I have talked to plenty of people from both sides, and we have people in this room from both sides. I think more information is good. I think we should be clear about what people are getting into. I think this sets up guardrails. The original bill, before we amended it, had things that might have impacted their business. We removed those things. So for example, the original bill required a 48-hour waiting period until someone signed a contract. And, you know, I liked that part of the bill, but I took it out based on feedback from people from both sides of the aisle, right? This is really pretty simple. It just requires a disclosure document. Now, the amendment, and just to make this very clear, there was an amendment put on that if you're presenting the opportunity in person, and we're gonna have someone testify that, you know, part of the pitch is that they try to have these parties, and this is a very women-centered thing. So you get invited to a party, you don't know that it's really not a party, and they're trying to get you to sign up as a seller. So if you present the information in person, you have to present the disclosure document so you know what you're getting into. Just like, for example, a franchise, you'd have a disclosure document so you know what you're getting into. If it's online, if the pitch is online, the disclosure document can be online. That was changed based on feedback I got, because people told me, hey, you know, printing out a piece of paper when I'm pitching people online is not going to work. That's going to affect our business. So I already amended the bill to allow an option for online disclosures and an option for in person. But I did say if you pitch it in person, you need a physical copy. And then the other part of the bill that allows for people to recoup if they find out that, you know, let's say they send the inventory back, they never get their money back within the 12 months, which is part of what the DSA already asks for is 12 months. It's completely in line with what they asked for. Let's say they never get that money back, then they're allowed to, part of what I worked out with the AG's office is they had suggested putting in the bill that you can get lawyers' fees covered if you need to recover, because when you have violations that are under $10,000, essentially you can't get a lawyer, nobody will take your case, and that allows you to have some sort of justice, and they don't have the capacity to take those cases. So I included that in the bill. And then the other parts of the bill are really aligned with what the industry says they already do. That being said, we did really think about it from both perspectives, because I did get pressure from both perspectives. So I did think about it from both perspectives. And I'm happy to have I have two witnesses add any additional information if you'd like, but.
So do we feel that this is, Mr. Chair, do we feel that this is prevalent in this industry? Is it just a couple people that have reached out? Like, I'm just trying to get a grip, because I know I haven't heard anything about this. I know about the businesses. I'm just trying to feel like, is it prevalent in this industry? Is it a couple people that have reached out? Is a lot? Have they done this in other states? I heard Maryland or other states addressing this issue as well.
Yeah.
I mean, how many other states are addressing this issue?
I mean, I'll give a few examples. And then I think it would be helpful to have Professor Keefe speak or Doug Brooks speak. But you might be familiar with LuLaRoe. That was the leggings, very colorful. Okay. They, for example, are a company that's not part of the association. There was multiple documentaries put out about them over the years because of how many people went bankrupt, lost their homes, lost their marriages. If you go online and you Google unfortunately, I wish it wasn't so common, or people wouldn't have come to me randomly, which is why I have this bill. If you go online, there's Facebook groups, there's just a prevalence online of groups of people who've gotten out of this industry on all different companies. Are there some good actors? Yes. Do I think this bill will hurt them? I do not, because we've already taken out the pieces that they requested. Now, every time I take something out, the goalposts move, right? So like, even though I took out originally the biggest piece was the 48-hour waiting period. So I took that out, and then it said, nope, that's not the biggest piece anymore. I'm going to move the goalposts. This is now the biggest piece, and this is now the biggest piece. But I really have listened to both sides and tried to strike a balance here. I just don't think it's in the best interest of Delawareans to have people get ripped off and not make money. If people have an entrepreneurial spirit, that's awesome. We want to harness that. We want people to make money. But if we have people who are being targeted, I had a constituent who was told as part of her training to hang out in the baby aisle of Walmart and Target and to talk to women who are crying about this opportunity. We cannot say that it's not predatory. And that's insane. Okay? And so as a women's advocate, I spend my whole life advocating for women. I see too many women losing money and spending lots and lots of time. And as many as we have people who, you know, oppose the bill, I have people who support the bill, and several of them are in this room.
So how many other states have done worker protection dealing with these types of business?
I think there's about 5 or so states. They take different pieces. They all do it a little differently. We wanted to take the best practices, things that we like. Several of them put loopholes into their bills that kind of you know, because here's the thing. The typical thing is, oh, you can sign up for $29.95. That sounds really reasonable, right? But then in order to stay active, you have to spend several $100s a quarter in order to stay active. Or you can't stay active, you can't earn commission. And so we'll hear testimony from folks who have been in that rabbit hole.
Okay.
So even though you can get in for a low amount, it's a bait and switch.
But you knew that coming in.
Well, you don't, that's why you need the disclosure. You don't know that necessarily coming in. You're being told this is your new career, this is your new life.
Okay.
Sarah Siegfried, do you have any questions for the sponsors?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to public comment at this point. So let's begin. Okay.
All right, up first, Dave Grimaldi.
Oh God, here we go. Groveling Grimaldi. Get on with it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brandon, thank you for having me today. I'm Dave Grimaldi. I am the CEO of the Direct Selling Association. Our companies and our sellers are the little engines of the American economy. Most of them are women. We are passionate about the power of relationships, entrepreneurialism, and consumer protection. And I want to be clear from the outset, we support smart, targeted consumer protection. And on that point, we want to thank Representative Ross Levin and Senator Hansen for their collaboration and edits and their receptivity to our concerns with the original language. And Representative Ross Levin, let me just be very clear. The predatory practices that you talked about, we condemn them strongly and forthrightly. And we want to continue working with you and your colleagues to get this right. Direct sellers are responsible businesses that collectively support tens of thousands of jobs and generate billions in annual exports. This is a sector with real economic weight and real-world impact. We are proud of the over 42,000 Delaware residents who participate in direct selling and those contributions that amount to more than $143 million to the state's economy. We deeply respect the intent behind this legislation. But HB 162, even as amended, and we are grateful for the collaboration and the edits, still contains provisions that would harm the very consumers it aims to protect. Let me quickly explain why. First, the bill continues to allow compensation tied to recruitment. That's a red flag. Ethical companies that follow the DSA Code of Ethics only pay for product sales, not for adding names to a downline. If this legislation is truly trying to prevent bad actors, that loophole must be closed. Second, the required income disclosures, while well-meaning, can distort reality. A startup with 10 participants, where one person earns income, would be required to report that only 10% earned anything. And that's not deception, that's early stage growth. Blanket disclosures like this risk misleading customers and consumers, more than they protect them. Third, by applying one-size-fits-all language to every company, as was discussed in the exchange earlier, regardless of how ethical, compliant, or small, it risks legalizing the worst behaviors while hamstringing the best actors. This industry already has meaningful oversight. The Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council, or DSSRC, monitors income and product claims for truth and transparency. It has reviewed thousands of cases and referred the worst offenders to regulators. We collaborate with the Federal Trade Commission, and we will continue doing so. We're not asking to delay reform. We're asking to get it right for Delaware's entrepreneurs and its consumers. Thank you for allowing me to offer these comments today. Representative and Senator, thank you for collaborating.
Okay, up next, John Whitelaw.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is John Whitelaw. I'm the Advocacy Director at Community Legal Aid Society, and I'm coming today to speak in strong favor of this bill. This is a modest, common sense regulation of an industry that is largely unregulated by state governments and has escaped any meaningful regulation in this state. There are several requirements of the bill, one of which is to return unsold product, which is part of the best practices anyway. Providing a cause of action for violations of the law, which seems to be completely reasonable, and then a series of disclosures. It is indeed ironic for the industry to be fighting disclosures, which suggests that they have something to hide. Changes have been made to the bill to account for their most vociferous problems with it previously, especially including a waiting period. There is nothing radical about this bill. It is common sense regulation, and the primary part of it is disclosure. There are no regulations regarding disclosure currently, and this is a beginning to start to regulate this industry that does prey. The bad actors are many, and they prey upon vulnerable Delawareans who are seeking to make money, who then do not make money. This bill will not harm the good actors. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to speak towards this bill today.
Thank you. Up next, Grant Baskerville.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the chair, members of the committee, Representative Ross Levine. I chair a coalition of 12 direct selling companies that collectively support over 38,000 jobs. That's people working in US manufacturing, product development, R&D, marketing, and other key functions. These folks work to power millions of independent direct selling distributors across the US. And just as another point to reinforce, these companies generate about 6.3 billion in annual exports, supporting US economic prosperity. While we understand and appreciate the stated intent of HB209, we have serious concerns regarding the bill's scope, unintended consequences, and enforceability. I'm hopeful of connecting with Representative Ross Levine today to discuss an alternate version of the bill that I feel, or our industry feels, addresses the representative's concerns. I just want to share with you, our member companies already adhere to best industry standards. So that includes flexible and fair returns policies, 100% return within 30 days. That's retail industry standard. No minimum purchase or recruitment requirements, so no inventory loading, product sale quotas, or recruitment targets. They have low cost accessible sign up, so registration costs anywhere between $25 to $112. If you compare that to a Costco membership, that costs up to $139, Amazon, or $130. Amazon Prime is $139. They have simple anytime cancellation policies as part of their contracts. So distributors can cancel at any time for any reason, and then transparent earnings disclosures. So they publish the average earnings and compensation plans and make that publicly available. The third thing that Dave Grimaldi highlighted is third-party oversight. So all our members support and participate in the Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council. That's a Better Business Bureau national program that monitors product and income claims for truth and transparency. In summing up, if the goal is to pass proportionate and enforceable effective legislation, we urge the committee to focus on actors that don't comply with best industry standards rather than tarnishing the entire industry. A more balanced approach would be to require disclaimers and disclosures only for companies who failed to meet key industry standards. As currently written, the bill unfairly targets a legitimate and ethical industry that supports US jobs, exports, and independent entrepreneurs. If I may, we would gladly work and proactively work with this committee and both sponsors on reasonable amendments that recognize best practice. Specifically, if a company has a 30 days returns policy, no minimum purchase requirements, no recruitment requirements, anytime, any reason cancellation policy, and they publish earnings disclosure and a compensation plan, and they commit to engage with the DSSRC, this approach would make Delaware the first state in the nation to codify best industry practice. I'm very grateful for your time. Thank you.
Up next, Tyler Mitchell.
Not looking good, guys. You're
Good
not
afternoon,
convincing.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Tyler Mitchell on behalf of the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce. I'm here today to express our concerns with House Substitute 1 for House Bill 162. In 2023, direct selling provided flexible income opportunities for over 42,000 Delawareans and generated more than $143 million to Delaware's economy. For some people, this work supplements family budgets or serves as a low barrier entry into entrepreneurship. We understand the intent of the bill, but its broad definitions and extensive Delaware-specific disclosure requirements risk stifling entrepreneurship and innovation across Delaware's direct selling sector. We appreciate the sponsors' ongoing engagement with stakeholders to thoughtfully amend and improve the bill, but believe more refinement is needed to ensure that the intent of the bill is achieved without impacting businesses, including our members who are doing the right thing. We kindly ask the committee to not release the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Up next, Richard Rambo.
This is actually pathetic to hear. I can't believe he brought up, the one guy brought up Costco membership. That was so stupid.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. My name is Commissioner Richard Rambo, and I am here on behalf of the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs to express our strong support for HS1 for HB 162 with House Amendment 2. This bill is not just legislative housekeeping, it is a statement of principle. It signals that Delaware will not run a blind eye into predatory tactics, often masked as opportunity, particularly those aimed at veterans navigating post-service life. HB 162 gives us the tools to better regulate multi-level marketing entities, requiring transparency in earnings, disclosures, and strengthening consumer protections, and helping ensure individuals that are misled by false promises. Too often, we see schemes that exploit military service as a marketing tool, framing products or business opportunities as patriotic or community-driven. Behind the red, white, and blue branding, it is often a financial model built on unrealistic recruitment quotas, hidden costs, and personal risk. Veterans deserve better than have their trust and sense of duty weaponized against them. House Bill 162 is grounded in accountability. It doesn't outlaw all MLMs. It simply ensures the rules are clear and fair. It reflects Delaware's commitment to protecting those who have served and safeguarding their path to economic stability. As a state, we pride ourselves in meaningful support for our veteran community, not just symbolic gestures, but real protections that honor their service. This legislation lives up to that legacy. On behalf of the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, I urge you to move 162 forward and stand behind the veterans who have stood for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, Paula Randazzo.
Wow. Thank you for your service, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Paula Randazzo. I am in support of HB 162. I have to amend what I'm going to say because I cut it kind of short, but in listening to them speak, I realized that I needed to put in here that, well, first off, I was struggling to build a consulting business a number of years ago, and a client introduced me to Melaleuca. She was a rep and seemed very successful, and I trusted her. She did not disclose any paperwork on the company, any rules and regulations, any standards. It was done in a party atmosphere with music and drinks and fruit and all of this. My husband was there. I ended up investing hundreds of dollars up front on products. Every month, I found out I was required to buy hundreds more to stay in the program, which I continued to do because I had already invested money into this program. I had to then get others to sign up under me, which would in turn be under her. And those people would be expected to do the same, and so on and so on. The rep accompanied me to new people so she could do the presentation. So I didn't actually know how the presentations went. I was also not to tell them that she was coming with me, which angered people, and I ended up getting yelled at. I also lost family because of it, which I've never seen again. We visited a cousin. The rep pressured her for hours to sign up. 12 hours later, at 6 in the morning, my cousin contacted me. She wanted to cancel. I contacted the rep. She was not allowed to cancel. She was charged already, and the products were on their way. Sometime during the night, all this happened. So she said my cousin should use the products and later return the bottles for a refund, just hoping to keep her going in the whole process. My cousin, when she got the box, ended up sending it all back, the refund, to get her refund, and it was all at her own expense. She never got a refund. So she harbored the idea that I pocketed her money since she was under me. 4 months later, she contacted me. I contacted the rep, and the rep told me, well, my cousin has to contact the company directly to get her money back. She has an account. All this time, she had an account still going with her credit. The rep never revealed that Melaleuca does not process refunds unless you request them personally. So my cousin did do that, but the relationship was lost. I've never seen that side of the family again because of this. I dropped out as well and cut my losses. So my opinion is MLM companies need to be transparent. You don't sign people up without paperwork at a party. Customers deserve time to change their mind and cancel their account without being charged. And if the policy is to automatically give credit instead of a refund, disclose it. Thank you very much for listening.
My God, good
Thank
for you.
We've been giving 3 minutes. We still have a number left. We have to be out of this room at 2. So we're going to go to 2 minutes. So I just want to again, try to be as, give everybody fair warning. And that we do accept written comments as well that will be distributed to the committee. But I just wanted to kind of make sure everyone was aware. We're just trying to keep things on schedule in this building today.
Right, up next, Scott Johnson.
See? Cue Losing Fortunes Radio. Here we go.
Thank you. I'm Scott Johnson. I'm coming from the western part of Delaware. It's called Texas. And thank you for the welcoming Texas weather today. I appreciate it.
Andy, please.
Delaware is the first state. I would like it to be the first state to have good MLM laws. I spent a dozen years in Amway, lost about $200,000 to $250,000 to overpriced products and what I call the tool scam. Not all MLMs have tool scams. More importantly, a dozen years of time spent with my young sons was lost. Jeff Bezos, whoever has a lot of money, I don't care who they are, they can't turn the clock back. That time is gone. Helping others not have that situation is my mission. I work on this issue every day. When I say tools, I'm talking about meetings, books, recordings, voicemail, website access. These are all undisclosed profits made by the upline and Amway and some other MLMs. If you Google the name Brig Hart, Salt Lake City, you'll see a guy who said, this was after he was kicked out of Amway in the early 2000s. He said, I was making almost $1 million a year in Amway. I was making $8 to $10 million a year from the tools. This is undisclosed to prospects and distributors downline. It's only the top layer that's making this money. it's at least 2/3 for most of these upper level people. Even if it's a multiple of 2, that's 2/3 of your income. I believe that that is RICO fraud. It's at least business fraud if you're misrepresenting the business model. And that's what's going on here, is you're misrepresenting the business model. A little bit of comment here. This has multiple layers. One of them is the fact that you can see my tie, it has little diamonds on it. These are actually cubic zirconium. These are fake diamonds. Diamond is a level in Amway. Most diamonds do not maintain that level. They go down, but their income stays up because of the hidden tool scam. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. That's 2 minutes.
Is that my 2?
Yeah.
All right.
We're trying. I'm
I'll
sorry.
stop. That's okay.
If you have any written comments, we'll take those too. So.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Up next, Gary Spielman.
I think he had to leave.
Okay. Janine?
First of all, Mr. Rambo, thank you for your service. And I'm sorry about what happened, and I'm sorry about what happened to you. That should not have happened. I'm here because I do oppose this bill. While I understand and agree with protecting all of us as consumers, my concern with passing this bill is the negative retribution it will have on us business owners. I am a professional network marketer and have been for 25 years. Passing it would place an even larger burden financially and legally on those who rely on the business model as viable income to support their families' households. It will go beyond Delaware, as leaders in other states also have teams here. It's important to note that some of what is outlined in the bill has already been in effect for years and is made fully transparent, executed by companies and field members, because it's required under the mandated and strict guidelines of the FTC. Unfortunately, as with all industries, there may be a few bad actors, but that is not the majority of us. However, I am so sorry for any damage that anyone has suffered, and I believe I speak on behalf of my professional colleagues as well. We have made great strides over the years. Equally, it is important for all of us to do our due diligence when starting any business. I'm asking once again to please either say no to this bill or give it the proper due diligence on both sides that it deserves for the majority of the people it will impact. And I would like to speak if I have a moment. In terms of our veterans, that's very wrong. And I'm so sorry that you feel that you were targeted that way. That is not how it should have worked out. We truly have a heart and passion for the people that we want to help. And we provide training to help people understand exactly how this profession works. To that point, a company that I represented actually works hand in hand with Mission 22. Are you familiar with that, sir? Mission 22? That's the nonprofit veteran agency, and it's labeled 22 because 22 people commit suicide every day. And we have partnered with them, a network marketing company, to help provide supplements that help these people who struggle with trauma. So it is my request that we not pass this bill, but maybe work together and see if we can find some ways to make it good for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, now going to virtual public comment.
Here we go. Good luck, sir. Good luck to you.
Sorry about that, sir.
It's all good.
Can you say your name?
Jason Hicks, 26 years old. This morning I showered, I brushed my teeth, washed my face, and it sounds like a very normal thing. Except all the products I used were remnants from orders that I made nearly 6 years ago when I was in Amway, even after throwing about over half of the inventory. While I'm very nervous, I stand before you today not as a victim, but a victor of my experience that really changed the course of my early adulthood. At 18 years old, due to a proposed opportunity to help others and reach financial freedom, what I got instead was $15,000 in losses, countless hours spent trying to meet monthly volume goals, and pressure to recruit others in a very flawed system. Had there been legislation in place around these business practices, I could have had a significant amount of money to help me later on at that area in my life. I didn't know this at the time, and most recruits don't, that a significant portion of the income made by the sponsors doesn't come from product sales to real customers. Oftentimes, we're taught to falsify customer sales. The goal is to buy products and find other people who will buy products in order to get you to the next step. The goal is not customer sales, which to my knowledge would be true direct selling. I've reviewed the bill and I'm grateful for this proposition. I believe the best step in the right direction is this bill. It will help others in similar situations to the one that I was in. And I just ask that you take my story into consideration and not allow the lobbying efforts from the DSA or other polished presentations to downplay the harm caused to Delawareans, many of whom will not come up and speak today. Please support this amendment and vote it out of the committee as its common guidelines and guardrails of something that will not harm those who are good actors within the space. Lastly, I would like to just leave you with something my father taught me as a child. He reminded me constantly as an adult: proper conduct fears no exposure. If MLMs are truly conducting themselves properly, there should be no issues going forward as far as legislators wanting more information around the procedures and practices in order to ensure Delawareans are safe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going to virtual public comment. If you'd like to provide public comment, please use the raise hand function. Douglas Brooks.
Well done, Jason. Well done.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm an attorney, semi-retired. I've been representing franchisees and distributors including in multi-level marketing companies for about 40 years. And I have to say, in that time, I've never had a client say that they were given too much information about a possible business opportunity. There is no way that this bill will hurt any legitimate company. The disclosures all concern information that the industry, companies in the industry either already collect or should be collecting based on very clear FTC precedents. The industry has been very effective at lobbying to evade or avoid restrictions that apply to other business opportunities. Franchisees are subject to the FTC franchise rule. Other business opportunities are subject to the FTC business opportunity rule, but the MLM industry has managed to avoid being covered by those rules. This bill takes a modest step towards providing key information for prospective business owners. And I should add, we've heard from the DSA and the implication that members of the DSA shouldn't be covered by this. The FTC issued a report earlier this year in connection with a rulemaking proceeding. They concluded that deceptive earnings claims are endemic. They are prevalent. And in fact, they looked at a study that the truthandadvertising.org did, which concluded that 97% of the members of the DSA, this is supposedly the cream of the crop, 97% were making deceptive earnings claims. It is a serious
Thank you, Mr.
problem.
Brooks. That's your 2 minutes. Going to the next person, Brian Eng. You should be able to unmute.
Hi, this is Brian Ang with the Delaware Department of Justice. Just here to say that the Delaware Department of Justice supports this bill. We think that it is a modest, thoughtful consumer protection bill that makes sure that there is additional transparency before people enter into these relationships with these companies, and that it also codifies the buyback provision that is already the standard best practice in the industry. So we are here in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Up next, Liz Richards.
Hi, my name is Liz Richards. I'm a Wilmington mom of 2 toddlers testifying in favor of House Bill 162. The cost of living for working families is high and rising. The cost of childcare, healthcare, mortgage, or rent make it increasingly difficult for families to get by on a single income. And indeed, 60% of American households are dual income earners. Women who still disproportionately shoulder caregiving responsibilities are understandably looking for flexibility to work from home and generate that income. But Delaware needs protections to ensure that these hardships are not exacerbated by opportunistic bad actors that take advantage of this dynamic for their own profit. According to Direct Selling News, multi-level marketing is a $35 billion industry. I've heard other figures like that today for Delaware, but according to the Federal Trade Commission, participants, or as someone referred to earlier as the economic engine of this industry, almost never make a profit. So I don't think I've heard that challenge today, and it begs the question, where are those profits going? I personally know many women who have been in MLMs. It's pretty ubiquitous. I think many of the people today have reiterated that. Money is a valuable resource, so is time, especially for exhausted working parents. And Delawareans deserve reasonable guardrails to protect their paychecks and protect their hard-earned income and to protect them from predatory bad actors. We need to protect that. Delaware families just can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. And up last, William Keep. You should be able to unmute.
Thank you. I'll begin by asking the committee members to review my letter to Representative Ross Levin. Markets are most efficient when there's access to access to information. Markets that lack information misallocate resources. The MLM or direct selling industry has fought all efforts to increase transparency, an industry where the vast majority of participants end financially worse off. For decades, the industry has faced accusations of misleading earnings claims, accusations verified by the nonprofit truthandadvertising.org. The industry requires recruits to commit to achieving difficult to sustain purchase volumes and to adhere to complex, difficult to understand policies and procedures, while year after year funneling income upline to a minuscule number of repeat winners. As noted, the FTC found that many MLM participants receive no income, and among those who earn income, the vast majority earned less than $84 per month before expenses. When unhappy MLM participants realize that MLM is not a level playing field, they are reminded that they are subject to forced arbitration and sometimes even non-disparagement clauses. There are no FTC regulations that limit behaviors in this industry. As a result, in my view, millions of MLM participants have misallocated resources. I understand the industry has tagged this bill anti-MLM. Yet the individuals attacking this bill regularly benefit from regulations that increase consumer information. Would they call required nutrition labeling anti-food or fuel efficiency and recharge information anti-vehicle? HB 162 brings needed information into the marketplace so Delaware consumers can make informed choices. Thank you.
Okay, and that's everyone who has raised their hand. That concludes public comment.
Thank you. And again, just a reminder for everyone that we do accept written public comments. You can email them directly to us at Senate Banking Business Insurance, all one word, Senate Banking Business Insurance at Delaware.gov. We're at the end of the agenda. Entertain a motion to adjourn. You're it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
That's it. So that was the end. I mean, they just cut it off right there. Bada bing, bada boom. Wow. What did you think of that? They really did save the best for last. I kind of am in shock that it's just over. It's like we are adjourned. So what does this mean? Is it passing then? Like, Dave, are you still here to give us some clarification? I think like they just had this meeting. So then what? What's up? What's next? So first, final thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? I want to go back and read some of your comments. So first off, the people that have been in multi-level marketing that showed up and was in support of this bill. Good for you, all of you. Jason, good job. Liz, unbelievable. It takes so much courage. And there was another woman that was there speaking. I mean, it takes so much courage to just speak out. Never mind prepare something and then speak in front of all these people. Just, I'm confident in saying on behalf of everybody that has been in MLM, thank you so much. You're not only speaking out for you and in Delaware, but you're speaking out for all of us around the world. And maybe you do know that. Maybe that's why it's like, holy crap. But thank you so much. It takes so much courage. I took a few notes because I thought it was interesting. First off, Bill Keep, where he said, I love how he twisted the anti-MLM around on the DSA because keep in mind the DSA are the ones that called this the anti-MLM bill. That's solely their creation. And he turned it around on them by saying, well, would you call it anti-food or anti-vehicle? If you were going to have just like nutrition labels or whatever, you're having to disclose what ingredients are in your Campbell's soup. No, we wouldn't call it anti-food, but you're calling it anti-MLM, completely taking out, anybody that is like, well, they're making an anti-MLM YouTube video. It just removes it and it puts like the eye like of scrutiny solely on the DSA. I thought that was genius. I'm going to read some of your comments and I'll read some other my notes to you. Wow, that was amazing. I'm just so blown away by this. How are you all feeling? I'm going to scroll back quite a bit. It was funny to see Scott Johnson there. I texted Marco. Like, you're not gonna believe it. Good for him, but he was a victim. He was a victim of multi-level marketing. He just believes that there's good multi-level marketing companies out there, which is, it's not true, but whatever. He has a story and he was screwed over. He was a victim, or like Jason so eloquently put, victor, not victim. I like that. I know I use the word survivor, at times because I'm like, well, how do you phrase this experience, Okay, so Sadie K had said only 2 commenters in opposition to the bill. This is a great stream. I can't even talk. Sadie K says, this is a great stream. I need a C-SPAN in every county courtroom in the US, I guess, LMAO. Yeah, Bill has a calming voice. You know what? Doug Brooks, his 2 minutes flew by. I was drawn in. I'm like, give this man like the room. I mean, you could just, he's good. He's good when they're like, oh, your 2 minutes is up. I'm like, really? You were late. You guys were late. I was on time. I'm in Alberta. Could you just have given him a bit more time, Oh. Not all heroes wear capes, says Madeline. Bill with the 1-2 punch. Yeah, that was awesome. Who was in agreement with Pink Jacket? Yeah, let's talk about Pink Jacket. Did you notice the people who were in favor of multi-level marketing and like, this bill is just horrifying? I knew they were going to be using the same script that we see across MLM. I was surprised about the Chamber of Commerce. I'm like, that guy's been purchased or lobbied or blackmailed. That's, in my opinion, the only possible way you could come out and support. It's like, they're not even business owners. If you're like the president or whatever of the Chamber of Commerce and you're actually with your whole chest on a live stream, with over here too, we have 127 people now live, 128. Thank you very much. And this is going to be, up for time. They're going to be like, you are affiliated with the Chamber of Commerce and you actually said this is about businesses. They're not even their own business owner. This is like MLM 101. You don't own your own business, But they said that Pink Jacket lady, how she's like, I'm so sorry you feel. Can you imagine telling a veteran that guy? Also, big shout out to the veteran that got up, man. He drew me into, and his concern about them targeting military families, which is well known. Any MLM, you can just type it in, anti-MLM and military. You'll see tons of videos and people giving you evidence from every multi-level marketing company there is. And she has the gall to kind of gaslight him almost in that way. It's like, I'm so sorry you feel that was targeted, but I'm a network marketing professional of 25 years, a network marketing professional. Do you think she attended Eric Worre's GoPro event? It had no substance. This was quite surprising to me because the buildup, and this is still going to go on, right? There'll probably be another Senate meeting. I'm sure. If you have more information about this, please pass it on because I don't know. I don't know how to find this information. It's very difficult for me to navigate their website. So if you do know when the next meeting is, please send it to me and I'll do another live stream and react to it. So hopefully this goes to another Senate meeting and then they have more discussion about it. But if this is what they've got, if this is all the DSA has, you've got to be kidding me. It was just, they folded like toilet paper. There's nothing of substance here. Never mind the damning personal testimonials of the brave victors that went and spoke out. But just, with Douglas Brooks, with the veteran, with like just Melanie Ross Levin standing up and not taking any crap. William Keep just laying out the facts. Oh yeah, when Doug Brooks, I've never seen a business say you've given us too much information. Oh, that giving me so much information has just made me, I just can't join. Like he's never seen that as an excuse. And the only thing that the pro MLM or DSA has to say is that it's like buying a Costco membership. Can you imagine? They're going to go on into the Senate. There's going to be these senators there. And they've like put all this time, they've done so much work in their lives, and they're going to be listening to some clown say it's like a Costco membership. And everybody at this point has a story. Oh yeah. And then the first senator, Stephanie Hansen, she dropped that about Arbonne, just scorched earth policy. Took them by surprise. There's that Helmo. I did a meme on Instagram. I'm going to read more of your comments, by the way, but I'm on a roll right now. He's just like this looking, and it's just this. That was her. She started it off. Flamethrower. Just so you know about Arbonne. Like, whoa. That was worth it. This was entertaining. Holy smokes. I'm so glad that they're actually, with all of this evidence and these people speaking out, this is only going to amplify. This is only going to be repeated. And there's only going to be more pressure in other states and in other countries and other provinces. That's what I think. That's what I foretell. This was step one. Thank you, Creepy. Lavender Rain says, I think the emailing is where the opposition will be most. They'll just copy and paste and send, right? That'll probably be the DSA. Then Dave Grimaldi will send out another, urgency, emergency, urgent. The fight is not over. We had more forceful arguments today in the Senate, and there were unfortunately bad actors. Oh, that was another thing they said, bad actors. Every MLM says that too. So they say Costco membership. They said, well, it's just a few bad actors. So with the DSA, and then somebody who's at the top of another pyramid scheme, you notice she never said the name of her company too? You notice the people that were speaking out saying, look, this was MLM, like Arbonne is mentioned. They mentioned the name of the companies, the details. She's like, I'm just a professional network marketer of 25 years. When did you get into the company? How many people are in your downline? How much money are they making on average? Can we see your disclosure of how many personal sales versus how many sales your team is for your paycheck? Like that piece of content that a lot of people are reacting to again because it's resurfaced, because yet another multi-level marketing victor is left and is like exposing things and also speaking out on Instagram. That's that piece of content where I showed with Monade. It was MLM Boss Babe who had uncovered this, posted it. And then I shared it amongst other anti-MLM content creators. And she shows what the senior executive director, it's like a few $100 she made in personal sales and well over $100,000 comes from her downline. I wish Pink Jacket Lady would show that. Let's see this information instead of you just standing there saying, I'm so sorry that you feel that veterans are targeted. Absolutely disgraceful and insulting to someone who served their country. Being spoken down to in that way. That's my opinion. Oh, so like what Lavender Rain had said, I'm telling you, I'm jacked up about this. This was awesome. I think that Dave Grimaldi is going to have the DSA send out another like whole email thing saying, now's the time to send this email template to all of your sales force in Delaware because we have to stop this. Doug Brooks just dismantled all of that with just that first sentence, I think. That was just a work of art. It's like I've never seen any business that, was like, or somebody get deterred from having too much information, whatever he said. They've heard about it, now have to go to digest it, okay? And everybody stood up and clapped. So I was losing my mind. I didn't want to interrupt. Even like the people that I disagreed with. I wanted it to, I'll have my say afterwards. The Canadians are confused. We're always confused, but somehow we find a way, We will find a way. Life finds a way. Arrow Deal says, I'm going to message them. Good for you. Emily says, loving all this content. Julie, I am learning so much. Me too. I'm learning right along with you. Okay, Creepy says there will be another meeting to make changes or decisions. Justin says, love how he said it's so complex to understand, well down in it. And Sorrowbird says, thank you for streaming. It's much easier to watch this content while also being able to share my thoughts and seeing other people's thoughts. That's how I feel about this too. I think it's an interesting way to learn. And it's a topic that so many of us are interested in. And especially if you've been in MLM and you've had, we're ignorance on fire. And so many of us just began speaking out. And thank goodness for people who have been speaking out against MLM in the years before I got recruited in, and then I got sucked in and I got out. If it hadn't been for their work, I wouldn't be able to be making videos right now and contacting elected officials and helping others exit. It's all on their shoulders, all of the work that they've done. And so watching this, this legislative process happen where so many of us, we didn't even know that what MLM was. We don't know about like the legislative process, and but we're speaking out against it, and we can be like supporting where we can. We all have a role to play, like Bridget Reed said. I think it's awesome. All right. Loliokas, they did such a good job protecting this bill to pass it. Just preach your story. Yeah. Eggface says the people that shared their stories are survivors, are the real heroes. I agree. Benjamin says, Lavender, I stated this in Marco's stream. MLM, which comes from chain letters, protects these bills chain letter style. Oh, that's good. Creepy says, Julie, you should stalk them and schedule a live for step 2. I'm going to. I plan on it. I want to do it. I want to follow up with this. I think it will be very edifying. Isn't that what it's like, morally instructive or whatever? Moral instruct. I think it'll be very educational, because then we can anticipate what would happen if this were to occur, when this is going to occur in a province or a state. I'll be like, it's just the same thing. They're just going to say, we should have had a bingo card. Somebody had said earlier in the stream, like, can you imagine if they just say pyramid schemes are illegal? They didn't even talk about pyramid schemes. I can understand where they're like saying, okay, well, there's bad actors, just to, instead of saying all MLM is fraud, it's just like, it's just not going to pass that way. So like doing the token acknowledgement of bad actors, maybe that's part of this, this chess game of this kind of thing. I don't know. What do you think? We can all email and add our voices, says CE. Yes, Michael Scott Johnson was there. It was so awesome. That's why I was like, okay, what's going on here? Because he gave his testimony. They had to cut him off. He said the tool scam within like the first 10 seconds. But it's true. It is true. It's just the lore. Creepy says, oh yeah, that woman in the pink jacket has earned my ire. Giving supplements to potential suicide victims. Disgusting. I have to bring that up too. Can you imagine out of nowhere bringing in trauma and dropping the word suicide? As if I've got the Trump card. Oh, you're a veteran? Well, do you know, I actually work with a company and we raise money for something. It's called whatever, 112, and it's for suicide and trauma victims. What in the hell did that have to do with anything? This was just another outlandish, garish display of how predatory and disgusting MLMs are. This is all she has. So you have people, you've got Doug Brooks, you've got William Keep, you've got Stephanie Hansen, you've got Melanie Ross-Levin, you've got all these people that were testifying like their experiences. And then you have her saying, suicide! Literally cannot make this up. She's probably gone to do a Facebook Live after that to like emotionally manipulate people to sign her up for what, Mary Kay? Do you think she was in Mary Kay? Had absolutely nothing to do with anything. This was meant as a cheap attempt, in my opinion, to derail the conversation and the focus by trying to emotionally destabilize people. And she had the gall to do it to a veteran. Absolutely shameful. Yeah, he said it best. Not a victim, but a victor. I like that. Spiffy says, glad I caught you live. I'm in the middle of reading Little Bosses Everywhere. It's so good. It is very good. Dave says, there will be a committee vote. Not sure if it will be in camera. If they vote it out of committee, it will go to the Senate. If it stays in committee, they will discuss it more and perhaps revise it. Okay, thank you for that. I hope that they have more of this televised. But it doesn't matter. Either way, I mean, anything else is a bonus. Now we've seen it in action. We've got vocal proponents for shining the truth and regulating these frauds, which is fraud. It needs to be, but perhaps, you know, like you get these regulations, it's just going to eventually kneecap them and then they shut down anyway because the rules exist, you know? So I hope there's more content, but this was fascinating. And if you are watching this, you're like, whoa, I missed this. This was too much. The sound was really bad. I did put the link to the live stream, which then should be a recording that you should be able to access. It's on their website. They archive all their recordings. Lisa's like, we're from Alberta, Canada. It's true. They're kicking me out the door, says David. Robin says, use X to praise the supporters and condemn the MLMs. I know I've started to have some presence on X. I feel like Sweet Goth is really active on X. Shout out to Sweet Goth, doing a lot of work over there. It's good to get that, just to spread awareness wherever you can, you know. They were loath to give Douglas the seconds. They did. I know. He was so good. Department of Justice. That's right. Department of Justice supporting the bill should definitely carry some weight. I was so surprised that that Chamber of Commerce just folded, though. I was like, really? Maybe I'm not, like, really? And it's going to sacrifice all these millions who, and wasn't it Liz that said, where's all this money? Who are all these entrepreneurs making all this money? Or however she said that. I was like, good point. It's all with that lady in the pink jacket talking about suicide. Seriously. I can't even believe it. I mean, I can, but it just shows, this exposes to me how weak the DSA is. Is this their best? He's like, we really have to show up so powerfully and impact more people in the Senate. Is this it? Because this is laughable. This is what they've put in millions and millions of dollars over the years. I mean, maybe we'll see. Maybe this will just go nowhere, and they have this vote that we don't see it, and then it's done. I don't know. But that was unimpressive. I can't imagine anybody logically just watching this and thinking and not being able to see through. It's ridiculous. There's nothing substantive in support of this. Just people who are benefiting from the fraud. And guess what they have to say? It's 100% fantastic because I make a lot of money from it, including Dave Grimaldi. Yeah, there's so much good in this. I'm just like remembering this as I'm reading your comments here. Yeah, that's right. Creepy. Blue Sky is useless. Politicians all on X, even if they don't admit it. I don't know about Blue Sky, but I do know a lot of people. Everybody is on X. So I remember I was talking to someone. I said, we need to get some more anti-MLM on X. But I mean, another social media platform. It's just more time, right? So, I go up there every once in a while and I am sarcastic and post something there. Poke another bear. Yes, Lavender Rain says, yes, he'd been heavily lobbied, in my opinion, but that goes back to what another commenter said, something like, quote, these companies bring in XX billion in revenue, but their distributors hardly make any money, end quote. Yeah. Yeah, it was the iconic woman who spoke first, Senator Hansen. I believe so. Yes, it's Bill 162. I know. I feel the same. She was so gross. I don't think I can shower my brain enough to forget that. It was classic MLM. They have nothing. They're so predictable. They have like the same, it's like they have this, like this old ratty box with folded up pieces of paper and all their excuses are like, MLM is just like buying a Costco membership. I still can't even believe that guy said that. He actually said that. These are senators. These people make decisions, important decisions that affect a lot of people. And this guy said it was like a Costco membership. Well, let me just talk to you in this way. It's like buying a Costco membership. Oh my God. No, it's not. And you can't fool anybody anymore. They're just regurgitating the same shit all over again. Yeah. Erica says, I think Pink Jacket Lady is brainwashed. I felt the cognitive dissonance when she was speaking. Yeah. Love Lemon says, I feel stupid. I thought he was in favor of MLMs and he was in favor of the bill. So sorry for my misunderstanding. That's okay. We all misunderstand stuff and that's okay. We're all human, I make lots of mistakes all the time. Then it's just like, oh, okay. I got to recalibrate things. Oh, Melody's at work. Oh, we're going to watch the replay. I think you're going to enjoy the replay. You can fast forward it quite a bit. You'll see they weren't you might enjoy learning a little bit more about how they discuss bills and stuff, but it doesn't start until like the end. And then when it ends, it's just done. They're just like adjourned. They flick the camera off. They don't mess around. It's not like, you know, one of these MLM participants when they're trying to turn the camera off, like end the stream, and it's like, it's that uncomfortable, like, they're holding their smile and it's still not stopping. Sadie K says, if Pink Jacket Lady was genuine, she would have pulled the veteran aside after the hearing to share her BS apology. She was performative as fuck, using her time to speak directly to one person in the room. Agree. I think she should never have even done that in the first place, you know, like that she targeted the veteran. She made a mistake. Oh, here we go. Q- has shared the email to send public comments in the next 24 hours. How many MLMs has she been part of is my question. I'd like to know that too. She never offered that information just as a network marketing professional. Can you imagine if she wasn't even in an MLM, but she was an MLM coach? Can you imagine that plot twist? You don't need to dig very deep to figure out. I bet that would be insightful. Robin, the ADR Pro, says, thank the veterans organizations for their bringing this bill. Keep the pressure on them to keep up their lobbying. That will help. Yes, thank you so much to the veterans and your organizations for looking into this and for speaking out and doing it so well. You know, oh, that was such a nice thing to see. Sadie K says, they said the same thing about the DTs. I'm just going to say that because I know at some points during videos on YouTube that things can get shut down if you say certain words. And I say pretty much every word, but on January 6th insurrection, oh, just some, quote, bad actors, end quote, nothing to see here. Actors, Bree Winter says, actors, people who sell in MLMs are all actors. Some are unfortunately convincing. Others are fortunately shitty. I know Scott with his tie. Oh, and he starts to talk about it. Oh my goodness. Marie says, the moment she mentioned providing vitamins to veterans, I was like, quote, that's not Herbalife or Melaleuca. It is it JFC? Oh, can we talk about Melaleuca? Oh, when that story? Wow. So first we had the flamethrower of Arbonne, and then it was Melaleuca, just like, and that woman, it wrecked her family, you know, so much courage to speak out. See, there's like so much amazingness was packed into this thing. Like she said, Melaleuca right away. Oh man, this was amazing. Bluebird Eyes. To be honest, Pink Jacket Lady just proved the veteran guy's point. She said her company gives supplements to veterans. Is that not targeting them for sales? You're right. Excellent point. Lady Meter saw, as a veteran, that lady makes me rage. That said, the committee will see her condescension and hollow arguments. And Lady Meter saw, thank you very much for your service. Melaleuca mention was, I'm like, Hannah, justice for Hannah. We all know you say the word Melaleuca and it's just instant, you know, you have like the whole story background what loads in, you know. Lavender Rain says Doug Brooks was great. I'm so happy so many came out in opposition, and they came out in force. I'm so impressed. Wow. Marie says, you know who else claimed they were good because they were helping veterans and giving them supplements? Known cult Scientology. The Stacy says, my nephew is in the House of Representatives in Washington State, and I would love a copy of this Delaware bill to send to him and see if he could pen a similar bill up there. It's on their website. Let me see if I can type in. Actually, if you type in Delaware HB212, it will come up. And you can, I don't know if I can share the screen here. Let me see if I can share the screen. I got to remove this. I have to talk to myself as I do this. Okay, stop that one. I don't want to like actually shut the stream down accidentally. I can't do two things at once. Not anymore. Okay, where is this? Bill detail. All right, can you see this? I'm going to make myself tiny. Okay, so if you type in Delaware Bill or HB162 Delaware, this will come up. And then you'll see here where it says bill details, view substitute, HS1 for HB162 with HA2. If you scroll down to this bill text, you can download the PDF, and that's the whole bill. Like that's all the lines and all that stuff. And that's actually what I had sent to a member of parliament that I spoke with yesterday here in Alberta. All right. Okay. Lady Meter saw Delaware's commercial business laws carry considerable weight for other states. Delaware often sets the tone. That's very interesting. Somebody else had said that in the, I know actually probably a number of people have, but somebody had said this in my comments on another video I'd made. Yeah, that what that woman said was reprehensible. I agree, Benjamin. Dave says, I think Scott is also worth thanking because he's no doubt informed Jason about this. This is true. He's got a long list of flaws, but I'm glad he sat there beside Jason to offer him courage. Yeah, and I got to say that too. That's my thing because just of, you know, surrounding issues. But you're absolutely right. And that was my hesitation with anybody that has been affiliated with Scott. It's just like, you got to. But I'm not, that set aside, I 100% agree with what you have said, Dave. Absolutely. Thanks to Scott Johnson for going out there and testifying and giving his story. He certainly has a lot of experience, and he's absolutely right about the tool scam. And, you know, helping Jason with this and I'm not that he needed to help him because he certainly had what he had to say, and he had no problem saying it. That was incredibly impressive. So absolutely, I agree with that. And thank you for mentioning that, Dave, because it can be easy to get obscured with like these other like petty things, and it's important to bring the focus back to what this is actually about. So thank you for that. That's also a reminder for me. John Grant, Jason's intro about showering and brushing with products he had to buy 6 years ago was so brilliant. Yeah, knows how to tell that story, paint that picture with words. Man, that was good. Just immediately, anybody that's been in a product-based MLM can just kind of relate. Now, with Amway or these other ones that have every product under the sun, it's a lot more specific. But I know with me, with Mon8 or people with Arbonne, they still have products all these years later that they're still, you know, using. Yeah, and it just reminds us all what we've gone through. Just that sentence. It was brilliant. Bluebird Eye says, ignorance on fire is a good point too. It's such a common cliche in MLMs, which also proves that they don't really provide the info they say they do. Sorrowbird, people in MLM constantly tell their downline to share their story and their truth. What's so different than people who have suffered sharing their story and truth? Why are their stories wrong? Excellent point, David. Geez, like my favorite part was when groveling Grimaldi was like 0001010. Robin the ADR Pro, the lobbying does not stop. Reach out to the organizations that are supporting this bill and find out what you can do to help them. Excellent point. I would never have thought of that, and thank you. John says, love that Grimaldi was the least effective speaker of all those who spoke. Someone needs a new lobbyist. I wonder how long he'll keep his job. He wasn't effective at all. Oh yeah, then there was that. Who was that other guy? John Whitlier. Who's this guy? He came out of nowhere too with the accent. The first accent guy. The second accent guy was like pro DSA or whatever. But that guy, who is this guy? He's like, this is just common sense. I'm like, oh yes. And just the way they say it, like it's without question. Anybody with common sense can see that this is a scam, you know. And this is, what did he say? He said something along the lines of it's well beyond, it's not just, you know, restricted to a few bad actors. It's like, I mean, he had no problem saying that. Who is that guy? Like, bravo to that guy. Eggface, I think that's why Robert Fitzpatrick also talks about being frustrated now, because these people never talk about the real issue, which is that these are pyramid schemes. Yes. Because MLM supplements will totally cure trauma. Hate it. Yeah. John Grant says, as the father of a deployed son, the supplements for struggling veterans was offensive in an almost immeasurable way. Yeah, sweet goth. X is my playground. Yeah, you're all over X. You've got that platform covered, that's for sure. Their best will be in the emails. I think so. Can you imagine them all reading them out and it's all the same thing? And somebody's going to point out, Chair, this is another example of how the DSA, this is all they do. They did this again in whatever other period of time the FTC opened up commentary, and they just mass emailed this out to people in various multi-level marketing companies. And they said that it only takes them a minute to fill out. Like, I hope they get called out on that if they have all these ridiculous emails that are sent in, you know? Oh, this is a good point from Benjamin too. The worst part about bad actors argument is that bad actors do exist inside scams, as well as innocents who are unaware, but they're all committing fraud. Pink Jacket Lady has to be with Bravenly. That MLM company has a foundation that supports veterans. Is she with Bravenly? Do you think that was Aspen Emery? Would that be the CEO of Bravenly? Oh my God, if it was, we got to find out who that was. I'm sure maybe they'll have the people listed who spoke. I'm not sure. Sadie K says, guess who purchases annual memberships with the Chamber of Commerce for the sole purpose of accessing their monthly networking events? MLM Huns. Grimaldi may wish to update his resume. DSA may be giving him the boot after this performance. If he has a job after this performance, the DSA deserves what's coming to them. They deserve what's coming to them anyway. Good luck finding someone better than Grimaldi. Too little, too late. Justin Prince cue cards. Yes, Sorrowbird. I just can't believe she felt like she should pitch product while on the stand. Didn't that say a lot? Just immediately pivoted to that. It was nuts. Aerodale says, Julie, I'd love to also send you what I send them on Insta. Yeah, send me a message on Instagram if you want. David G, the Chamber of Commerce is a very conservative organization, and conservative politics tends to be pro-MLM. LOL, this lady admitted Mello Luca is in fact an MLM by showing up. Yeah. We love Hannah, we do. Kitty Chat, Mello Luca was the one who said being signed up with them was like having a Costco membership, probably before that senator said that. Oh. Oh, Mina Kim, your first live, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Someone's monster says the person's stories were sad, but a strong message. I'm so glad they came out and shared. I am too. Hello, that Russian girl. Aerodale says, Julie, I'm going to send you my email to you and I'm done with it. Great. The Stacy says, having 6 years worth of products tells you right there that the real customers are the reps. Yeah. Yeah, Whitlier was good too. So good. It's funny, just like going back over this, there were so many good parts in this that I just forget because it was just like one after the other after the other. Q-3 also woohoo for Paula. Yeah, they all get a woohoo. a proper sensey woohoo. Woohoo. No, a real wahoo. Woohoo! Also woohoo for Paula, even though her story was sad, she got right to the point about why disclosures are needed. Yeah. Lady Meter saw, oh hell, Bravenly just got on my FU list more than before for their faux support of veterans. And Jessica Antilushy is here, late to the party. Hi, friends. Shelby, hello. Bree says, Pink Jacket Lady could not help pitching her products because it's deeply ingrained in her brain. Can you imagine if there was Pink Jacket Lady ended up with the Mary Kay jacket with the B pins on it and it was like, surprise, MFers. I've got your coat. Remember that story? Lisa says, if bad actors are the problem, the good folks would want to see legislation to fix problems. They don't because they are the problem. All of them. Yes. Well, I know I learned a lot during this and also from your comments. So things that I want to kind of summarize is that you can email. Here you go. Especially if you live in Delaware, this is your time. Contact, your senator. Senate Banking Business Insurance at delaware.gov. I guess this open public comment period or whatever. Or maybe you don't need to be in Delaware. I'm not 100% sure on that because, we saw Doug Brooks and William Keep. But especially if you have been in multi-level marketing and you are in Delaware and you want to join these people that are speaking out, now's the time to do it. And then also, if you email like the veterans organization or anybody else that spoke out against this, if you wanted to help them out in any way, that was a great idea to contact them. Now you know that your voice can be heard wherever you are in the world. This is not going to end. It's just there's just more and more people that are fed up and have had enough. You saw a senator had a personal connection and a personal story evidence here and opened up this whole discussion with that. These experiences are undeniable and ubiquitous. Like another one of these people that were speaking out had mentioned, everybody has had a bad MLM experience by this point. The only people that are defending it are people who are directly profiting from it or brainwashed people. You're not going to be seeing somebody who isn't making any money saying, but what in the world could they possibly use to defend why this bill would hurt their business when they're all losing money anyway? None of them have been taught to just track how much money they're making and how much they're spending each month. They can't even admit that they're spending money because when we're in it, we say that it's an investment. I think that if you have been wanting to reach out to your elected official wherever you live in the world, I think you should do that. It's easier than you think. And I also wanted to say this. I made a series of stories on my Instagram and then shared it to Facebook too, that if you have been in MLM, multi-level marketing, and you're like too rattled to write a letter, it's like it takes so much. I understand. I've spoken about this. That was my experience too. You might not have that. So that's okay. If you're like, no, I'm totally fine. I can bang something out, like good. But if you do feel like me, where you just need more time, then take the time. There's no sense. There's no rush that you have to, write your elected official. There's going to be plenty of time for you to heal. And then if you do want to speak out, then you can. People don't understand this. It's like, well, how hard can it be? Just write down what you were told, what didn't happen, and then just send it out. My God, in order to get to that point, it takes so much. I did a live stream 3 years ago, maybe now, might be just over 3 years ago. And I was trying to write a report about rank makers to the FTC. It was painful. This thing was hours. I mean, my videos are always hours, but it was so hard for me to just compose it. And it's been hard for me to compose just reports to the FTC too. People don't understand it. But so what I'm saying is I get it. And when you're ready, it's easier than you think. It's kind of like you start writing it and you're like, oh, and then when you send it off, it feels really good. And people are ready to listen. Look at Senator Stephanie Hansen. Look at Representative Melanie Ross-Levin. They went at it today. They didn't mess around. It was awesome. Baby steps are still a win. Yes. Dave says Mission 22 offers Amare's Mood Plus product to veterans. I'm quite sure that's what Pink Jacket Lady was shilling. It was Amare, the mental health one? No. Oh, the DSA picked the absolute stupidest, tone-deaf participant. This is all they could gather in Delaware, was somebody shilling for Amare. This is when, unless they've got deep pockets and people are just willing to be purchased off, there's no way that this bill isn't going to pass. When you look at all the logic, and everybody's against it. And then it's Amare, really? I mean, if somebody's going to be like, no, they're right. The DSSRC, it's doing a really good job. you just had Associate Director Lois Griesman that when she talked, she wrote those 2 letters, one to the DSA, one to the DSSRC last year. Was it March 15th or something around that time? And she asked Adolfo Franco, who was the vice president of the DSA, what he considers modest or supplemental income. And he said $1,200 a year, which works out to $25 a week. Notice they never mentioned anything like that. They're just like millions of dollars and billions of dollars and millions of dollars, and entrepreneur and Delawareans are earning this. What are they earning? They're not even making $25 a week. I hope that gets brought up. I mean, good luck. These people are informed that are against this. Not only do they have their personal stories, they have people that have been in MLM that are coming forward. And then they've got Doug Brooks and William Keep and Whitlier. So good. Q- says, I swear they're the company that ruined the word wellness for me. Women really sticking up for women. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Aerodeal. I will check on that. What else did I want to say? Oh, I liked how, so yeah, I guess all I wanted to say is thank you to Representative Melanie Ross-Levin for getting this ball rolling. Well done. Bravo. And Benjamin says, when this scam hits your eye and your wallet is dry, it's amare. Oh, and Aerodeal says, I'm down if you read it. Okay, I might add that. You mean right now, Aerodeal? Do you want me to let me know if you want me to read it out loud right now? Let me just see. Or are you meaning something else, like for another video or something? Sent it. So wait, I'm going to just pull this up right now. I don't see it on my, oh wait, here we go. Oh, I see. I think I see now. I see. Aerodeal, I see. I redacted my name, so it's cool. Okay. Maybe, would you mind, Aerodeal, if because I have another video that what I want to do one of my next videos. I've got 2 videos that I want to do next. And I wanted to do this other one before this whole thing started. And it's this video that I'm going to work on. The video that I want to work on next is the stories that I've compiled from people. And so I have them and I just want to read them out and do that. And I'm wondering if I could include this one, and I'll just say my name is redacted. And I could read this out in that video. Let me know. How do you feel about that? I'd like to do it. I would like to include it in that. Hello, Sarah Pritcher. We're at the end. We're just doing the recap here. It was good. It was really good. Now, the entire meeting was just over 2 hours. They started a little bit late. I let it play. I added a bit of commentary while they discussed other bills, and then they started in, and it was good from the get-go. When that meeting, like when it started about HB162, it was fire. It was awesome. And then the meeting just ended. And then, so now they're going to vote maybe, and then they're going to decide if it moves on again in the Senate or whatever. So we're still figuring out like what's going to happen, CE says you could always replay this live feed and add your comments. Oh, good, Aerodeal. Awesome. Okay, that's what I'm going to do then. Sounds good. I'll rewatch. I'm always down. Great. Okay. Oh, there was someone else here. Q-3, some of the numbers they threw out, $143 million, 42,000 distributors. That works out to about $3,400 per participant. And we all know they ain't getting that much. That's a really good point, is to use their data against them. They like to throw out these statistics, and that's meant to be like, that's it. The discussion is over. By these numbers alone, this proves that this bill would completely destroy this industry. And yet, by the company's own income disclosure statements, you find that most people aren't earning this money. So they need to then further drill down on this data to prove why this bill and these further disclosures would be so harmful. Because just by their own example, by saying this, it's deceiving people, giving them a false premise of what they could typically earn in one of these scams. They are using the same deceptive tactics that all MLMs use, even in their presentation to the Senate. Excellent point, Q-3. This is a team effort. I'm telling you, this is a team effort. You need everybody around the world, a whole bunch of different perspectives. There's so many things that you can just miss and different angles you'd never even think of. There is still a lot of sausage to be made here, folks. Eggface says, I mean, I'm all for these regulations, but I just hope it doesn't affect my business with HAP. I know. Little high altitude potato is going to be exempt from all of these things. I went back. Pink jacket lady's name is Janine. Interesting. Disclosures distort reality, apparently. Yeah. Their arguments were weak. It was just surprising to me that this is it. This was the whole build up. Dave Grimaldi, oh, we're going to the Senate now. Oh, and this was what he had. He gets and he sits down and that's all he has. And the amount of people against this. I mean, the DOJ and the Veterans Organization, and then all of the people that have been affected by MLMs. Man, that was so good. All right, we did it. Let me know if you come across when this is going to go to another meeting, or if you have any information, please contact me. I don't care if like a whole bunch of people contact me and you think that I already know somehow. I don't. I know a lot of nothing. People just think that I know a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'm tapped in. I'm like, oh yeah, I know about this company. But a lot of times I don't. And someone will say, oh, you've probably been sent this 50 times already. I'm like, no, actually, you're the first person that's let me know this. And it seems like everybody else knows, and I just don't. So please don't feel like it's like putting me out by just sending me information. It's not like you just fire me in an Instagram chat and then I can just see it. I have it as a resource. If I've already heard it, that's great. And if I don't, then it's a good resource. I have like another lead or some more information to go on. So in regards to this topic, I'd really appreciate it. If anything comes on your radar, you have more information, just like contact me, send me a DM on Instagram, or if you happen to be one of the people that has my email, sometimes I give it out, sometimes I don't. It's just how I feel that day. Feel free to contact me. And if not, no big deal. All right, everybody's just saying goodbye and thank you. So I'll just read some of your comments, then we'll shut this down. Q- says, I'm just happy no one I went to high school showed up on the Hun side. Oh my goodness, eh? Someone's monster. Thank you, chat, for a great conversation on this. And thank you, Julie, for the interesting live. The Stacy says, I'm probably going to send a copy of that bill to my reps in our state house as well. Will it go anywhere? That is yet to be seen. We've got to start somewhere. Sweet Goth says, thanks, Julie. Take care, everyone. Lady Metersaw and Grimaldi and the pro MLM folks probably thought they cooked when they didn't. They are going to leave this thinking they did something when they scored no points. And I wonder if they realized that, I know at one point we had 128 people watching this live. A lot of eyeballs on this little meeting. People weren't aware that was going to be happening. Is Zerla's place? I think he was thinking he wouldn't need to say much because he believed others would chime in with more proof that the bill is a problem. Maybe it was a strategy. I know there's a lot of things and like angles and commentary and the way like politicking goes that I'm just oblivious to. Some things I'm learning about, I'm picking up on, and I know a lot of things just like I totally miss it. Like that one senator, like Q-3, when you said it was your senator, I was kind of thinking when he was asking these questions, maybe he was being like clarifying, like, and I don't know, maybe he really is pro MLM, but I also thought, well, maybe he isn't. Maybe he's just like anticipating the pushback from people. Like, well, what is that? Like, is direct selling? What is direct selling? What is multi-level marketing? Like, just to get it out there, to really pin down what the DSA is, because they're always squirming around. So I was wondering if that could have been it too, because the way I was like watching it, I thought it could go either way, that he could actually, I mean, maybe we don't know. He's just a man of mystery. You'll just never know what side he's on, right? But he could have been like, just being like, okay, I'm actually on this side, but I want to like expose this. What is this? Why would people say this? It seemed to be like that probing kind of questioning. I don't know. What do you think about that? And CE says, okay, CE is clarifying anyone can send an email, not only Delaware residents. Do you know someone has been affected? Share your story. Okay, there we go. Thank you, CE. I was wondering if they would only listen to Delaware residents' emails. Benjamin says, how do we access Bill Keep's statement you read the other day? He just sent it to me. So I don't know if it's published anywhere. So I don't want to post it in, and then because he gave it to me to react to or to read out. So that's the only thing. It's just one of those things. So it's read out on that live stream, and I know it's an hour long and it's a real pain in the ass, but that's what we've got. You know, I just want to respect what I try to err on the side of caution as much as I can, unless it's like explicitly told to me what I can do. Then I'm just like, well, I'll just do this, you know. Shelby says, thank you for getting me through my shift and helping me work, or well, not so much at work, but mainly for keeping us updated on this. You're welcome. And thanks for the chat too, because there's a lot of things that I've learned during this. And Robin says, when you are living in a silo, you do not comprehend the counter arguments or even that there are counter arguments. Yeah. And I know that, you know, there's so many of us too that just don't know. We just don't know about a lot of things. It helps to have these discussions. All right, we did it. Thank you so much for watching this stream. There's going to be no music at the end of this one. I think it's good just to keep this as it was. So again, shout out to all of the elected officials, the brave victors that spoke out about their experiences. They did an incredible job, and all the new players that have joined, added their voices. Thank you to all veterans for your service. Men's Mental Health Month this month is right now going on in Canada, June. And please take care of your mental health as well. I want to mention that this is a topic that is rarely discussed or brought up. It's not as publicized. So please know that you're not a burden. You know, you might feel that nobody would miss you, that it's just enough. Pink Lady Jacket brought up the S word, you know, and just bringing that up can bring up a lot of feelings. Please keep fighting for yourself, whether it's second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. Grab onto that. It will get better. I know it doesn't feel that, but people love you and care about you. The fog can just suffocate you and choke you out of existence. Fight for yourself. You need to keep fighting for yourself. All right. And on that happy note, everyone, be there for each other. We got to learn from each other's experiences and support each other. And we got to be the bigger person whenever we can. Help set aside our shit. We can make mistakes. None of us are perfect, but you know, you can reach out and you can help others, and you can help others who are unlike ourselves. And together we can make the world a better place. How's that? All right. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.